and yourself only. Life is too short to spend time with people who suck the happiness out of you. If someone wants you in their life, they'll make room for you. You shouldn't have to fight for a spot. Never, ever insist yourself to someone who continuously overlooks your worth. And remember, it's not the people that stand by your side when you're at your best, but the ones who stand beside you when you're at your worst that are your true friends.
Radio Biafra International, empowering the people.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to our listeners all over the world. This is Radio Biafra International, brought to you by Biafra Restoration Movement, BRM. You can get us through different platforms such as the internet, the Facebook, the YouTube, the RBI app, the TuneIn app, and we are on satellite, actually. You can also connect us through phone lines. You may Google Radio Biafra International and you will get the full details and the numbers from which you can be connected to the radio station. As usual, before we start, we will say a prayer of two. My name is Odi Moalu, and I'm your broadcast anchor today. And we'll be having some panelists, actually, who will join us as we move on. Please remember that Radio Biafra International is here to educate, to inform you, and to persuade you towards what is right, towards the truth, and to us, most importantly, fight for our liberation as a people. For that is what is right to do. That is the truth. The truth is that all men should live free, free of oppression, free of exploitation, free of subjugation. And that is why we're here, to do what is right. This is not a propaganda channel, but like I said, it is here to educate us, to also fight through information and other ways in which we're engaged in, the Biafra Restoration Movement is engaged in, to ensure that our people are free. Let us pray. From Luke chapter 1, verse 68 to 75, I read, it says, "Praise be to the Lord, the God of Israel, because he has come to his people and redeemed them. He has raised up a horn of salvation for us in the house of his servant David, as he said through his holy prophets of long ago. salvation from our enemies, and from the hand of all who hate us, to show mercy to our ancestors, and to remember his holy covenant, the oath he swore to our father Abraham, to rescue us from the hand of our enemies, and to enable us to serve him without fear, in holiness and righteousness before him all our days, to give his people the knowledge of salvation through the forgiveness of their sins, because of the tender mercy of our God, by which the rising sun will come to us from heaven, to shine on those living in darkness and in the shadow of death, to guide our feet into the path of peace. Psalm 71, verses 1 to 4. In thee, O Lord, we do put our trust. Let us never be put to confusion. Deliver us in thy righteousness and cause us to escape. Incline thine ear unto us and save us. Be thou our strong habitation, whereunto we may continually resort. Thou hast given commandment to save us, for thou art our rock and our fortress. Deliver us, O our God, out of the hand of the wicked, out of the hand of the unrighteous and cruel men. Amen and amen. Okay, today is Saturday, the 10th of October, 2020. And in the news today, we have a couple of very important information to bring to you and very important topics to also discuss. And we need your engaging ears and attention, because it is these are issues that critically affect us and affect us generationally. It is very important that we understand the importance of actually putting out certain very salient information is that it can be bequeathed to the younger generation, to posterity. When it's bequeathed to posterity, it guides their thoughts, it guides their understanding of the world they live in, of themselves, of their history, and then they can be able to interpret current events within their lives at any moment. The more they're informed, the more they are equipped to be able to make the right decisions. But the less they're informed, the less they are able, the less the possibility to make the right decisions, because the decisions are all based on information, on what is known. Up till today, it is, I must say that there's a lot of improvement with our people in terms of paying attention to political issues. That's because of oppression. In the past, our people don't used to pay attention to political issues. They are all concerned with their business. They are concerned with their ambition. They are concerned with their objectives. And that is all good. But the fact remains that if you look at the human society, what are the forces and powers that affect it? You see that after God, the next thing you get that affects your life is politics. Because in that politics is the struggle for political power. And it affects every other thing you do. Through history, you've had kingdoms and empires. Within kingdoms, there's the struggle for power. Where is the struggle for political power and leadership? I mean, even in monarchies. It's because of what that power does. That is why people struggle for power, political power. Then you have kingdoms fighting amidst each other. One conquers the other, or others. The others become their vassals. Why? It is the struggle for power, the struggle for dominance. It's happening today. You can see it with the United States. Within the five world powers, you see contestations of dominance. in the area of economics, in the area of the military, in the area of nuclear power, in all manner of areas. There is struggle. They are struggling for other continents who are weaker than them. That is why people talk about China being in Africa. But before China was in Africa, you had Europeans were there. They took Africans as slaves because they had power. They had military power over them. That's why they were able to take them as slaves, to go and work for them in the fields, in remote lands, and took away their names, took away the culture, took away their sense of self in such a way that they couldn't trace their way back. And they stayed there, and the descendants are there till today. And in all over the Americas, North America, South America, Europe, where Africans were taken to, they are minorities. They are minorities in those societies today. And this is something that happened as far back as 500 years ago, at least started happening 500 years ago. Because we know that the first slaves were actually taken in 1441 in Africa by the Portuguese. And it gradually grew. And it came to its peak around the 1700s. That was the peak. Then it ended around 1800s after the Industrial Revolution, when the machines began to carry out tasks which usually human beings would do. And there was, and then of course added to the pressure of the abolitionist movement, the Quakers, and also very important writers and campaigners and abolitionists, people like Frederick Douglass, people like Oluda Ekwano, who hails from Iseke in Anambra State and wrote his book in 1798. A young boy who was taken away from Igbo land in 1756. He was born 1745. So he was taken around the age of 11 or 12. But God kept him alive to be able to, put down the account in writing then, when it was a crime for a slave to read, a crime for a slave to have knowledge. Because then if he knows how to read, then he can communicate. But this young man, God protected him and shielded him. He was able to learn how to read and write, and was able to put down his experience, which we still today, 250 years after, are able to come in contact with. And through his writings, we can able to have an idea what even our home, Igbo land, looked like, a little bit of it, 250 years ago. That will be probably when our maybe, let's say, 12th or 13th ancestor was alive. So going back to what I'm saying, it is very important that we also understand the idea of power and what it does to our lives, and and even the lives of our posterity. The struggle for power, political power, economic power. You must pay attention to that. If you do not pay attention to that, those who pay attention will have it. You will be under and you will be complaining. That's all you'll be doing. Prior to the West, the Europeans coming to Africa to take us as slaves, the Arabs had come into Africa already in 641 AD and took over the rest of North Africa. Now, most of West Africa, they're taking it over. And then look at Nigeria, they're in northern Nigeria, they're moving down south, as we can see. It's all about power. But while they were advancing, there was no other power to stop them. So they conquered peoples and subjected them under themselves. Today, we have the Fulani who had come into Nigeria, created by the British. See, these are foreigners who exerted power on that geopolitical space and were able to run it. The Fulani came in 200 years ago. Now, what are they doing? They are seizing the whole place. They've seized Nigerian government completely. You have people who still believe they have a government. But we don't any longer, because that government has been hijacked by the Fulani. And you can see the mess that has been made. They have always done that right from time. The British also aided them. Remember about power, the power of the British and now the Arabs, who are represented by the Fulani people. The Fulani people are Arabs, including the Kanuri. And it's from these two groups you have the worst terrorist assault on the natives and indigenous peoples of that geopolitical space is called Nigeria today. Power. And that's why we say that we need to pay attention to political power. That is why we urge you to go to meetings. Go to meetings, make contributions, open up your phone and read something about what is going on. It's very, very important. Listen to Radio Biafra International. Listen to any other radio that can give you information, because your awareness is very important to our survival. We don't want our people to be ignorant, so that one person is saying one thing, then you have 10 saying a different whole thing. Because of the understanding, because of the degree of information which they have. We must understand the importance of being aware of our surroundings, being aware of who we are, being aware of our history. We as Biafrans have gone through a lot in Biafra land, in the dynamics of political power as well. And when we met the British, when they allied with the Islamic North and other people who claim to be Christians as well, to attack us. It is only now that they are attacking them and killing them that some of them can understand what the Biafrans are saying. But then we ask them, is it that you didn't see what was going on in 1966, 1945, 1953, 1966? Why do you discount those? And we're telling our people it is this quietness in the face of evil that is a big problem, causes problems in societies. It becomes much worse because you watch that evil happen, and out of unjust hatred, jealousy, envy, or malice, you want to side the wrong group, thinking you will gain. At the end of the day, it is loss for you and everybody else. Just like you saw the non-re-election of Jonathan. People came out, oh, wow, this, that. Jonathan, this is a man who comes from a region that has supplied the oil that everybody else is sharing since 1958 from Bayelsa State. And they have never, ever produced the president of the country. Once, by accident, actually, they produced one by accident. And yet they could not give him the second term. People from the Southwest began to conspire, began to, all sorts of things. Look at what the situation they put everybody finally. And then they went and joined with the Tinubu, made an alliance with the North. People like Tinubu, people like Adeboye of Redeemed Christian Church of God. You need to question the fate of that man, because he was the one from his church that the vice president married, and they went and formed an alliance with terrorists. And this is the problem. This is the situation that the country is now. That is what blind hatred does. That is what, jealousy and envy does. It will always produce death and suffering for those who harbor it as values that they need in their lives. What will it produce? What will evil produce in anybody's life? There is more. The time for decision will come for you and for me. Yes, if you think that if you make the wrong decision, you will gain certain things. Yes, sometimes you make wrong decisions to gain. But I'm telling you, that thing you're calling gain, material gain, usually, what it will do is that it will destroy you. It will all of a sudden turn into pain. The gain that evil gives you is a false gain. It was a gain that will quickly change into pain. It may come immediately, it may come later on, but it will surely end into pain and sorrow. And that is what Nigeria is undergoing. The hatred of Biafrans in Nigeria, this is what it has brought to them. It is always denied. They want to avoid it, but it's obvious. Why is it that Biafrans do much better outside, where they even have limitations as foreigners, but they do much better there, versus Nigeria that has been chasing them, oppressing them one way or the other, and it is the Islamic North that is leading this. But the rest of you Nigerians also go stand behind them. This is what you get. This same attitude you use, the same attitude you use in your own family. Those of them that are progressive in your own family, you undermine them because you're wicked. You have wickedness in you. And that person that's progressive, do you ever think differently? Because it's always your mind and your heart, what is going on there. Do you ever think that if you help your brother who is, maybe he will now turn around? Of course, he will be beneficial for you in most cases. If he progresses, what about supporting him or supporting her to progress? That way he helps the family because he progressed. You don't think that way. You're always thinking of how to, bring him down. They call it fondly PhD. Bring him down, at all costs. And if you all are down, then what? Your situation is still bad. Nothing has changed. That is why that country is the way it is. Because it's not that we don't know the truth, but you see, the people who have perpetrated this evil are trying to cover it up. And I keep saying the Islamic North are the prime people to hold us on, the Fulani and the Kanuri people. Stop saying that you cannot put a blanket blame on the whole people. That is a lie. When an action that is evil is prevalent amongst the people, you bear the blame. You bear the blame because it's prevalent amongst you. It doesn't mean that if we still keep looking, we can't find somebody there who is reasonable. But why is the reasonable people, they cannot change, they cannot speak up against what is happening? Because if they speak up against it, I'm telling you, it will dwindle. It will be less. But they didn't do it. There are actions that are prevalent in certain cultures, that are prevalent amidst families or certain groups of people. They bear that image. They bear that image, whether anybody likes it or not. You can say, "Oh, well, Americans, they are fond of using their guns always." Yeah, you see it in their movies. You can say that the Europeans use guns. It doesn't mean all of them use guns, but you see it in their movies and so on. It's something that is cultural. Gun is a symbol to them. It's a symbol also of conquest for them because they use it to conquer so many people. It's also a symbol of defense to them. So they uphold it somehow culturally, psychologically, and they use it to act movies. They've been fighting even amongst themselves, so terribly so. Much more than any other people around the world. Look, check First World War and Second World War, and the toll of lives, that was lost in the process. But they evolve, they change. They began to bring out values that are necessary to bring peace so that their children and their children's children can live in peace. For us Africans, I bet we're evolving. Some people say we're not. If we're not, then why? So I encourage you, please pay attention to issues that are so important to us. It's very important. Today, we'll look on certain issues, very political. One is Saba massacre, because October the 7th, 1967, was when there was a terrible massacre in Igbo land, in Biafra. It wasn't Biafra then, but these are brethren, and they were massacred there, even though that area geopolitically was Nigeria. But they were massacred because they were Igbo. It was about hatred for the Igbo. That's why once you're Igbo, you couldn't survive any other place. They will pretend to you and tell you, oh, it was something else. It is ethnic hatred. The type you had in Rwanda, isn't it? Against the Tutsi. After the Hutus have killed the Tutsis, then what? It is the Tutsis now that are building that country into something useful. The Hutus are benefiting too, because are they not there? They are the beneficiaries of what these Tutsis are doing. And the next, somebody is telling you about hatred, and go hate them. You find something and paint them as terrible people. Give them a bad name so you can hang them. Make your own contributions. When you make your own contributions that are other than hatred for other people, that is how you create a better world for yourself. Because everybody is blessed. Everybody is talented. Fulani is all of them. God has given them gifts. But either you use your gift or you act up with it. Fulani will either use their gift to build societies, make life better for people and for themselves and others, or they use it to kill, to go into conquest and all the rest of them, in something negative, which is where they're putting it in, obviously. That's why that country is the mess that it is today. As I'm talking, they are amassing weapons for the final onslaught of jihad against the infidel, where they will slaughter them. This is 2020, and somebody is thinking like this. And then when somebody says, "Oh, these people are subhumans," you say, "Oh, why use that label for them?" What do you mean? Why use that label? Do you need us to read to you what they have done? Do you need for us to go through or rehearse all the terrible things these people have perpetrated in that so-called contraption that is called Nigeria? Why should you ignore that? And then tell us, okay, let's just make them this. Let me read this to you, because we need that reminder. It's very important. And this is from the president of the Christian Association of Nigeria. And the information out there, news, all the killings and destruction going on, look, the records are kept. The facts are there. I don't know why people will commit something and do not want to be held responsible for their own actions. It's Fulani is killing people. They are terrorists. They are mass murderers. That's what Fulani people are. And then you have northern governors, Islamic governors going out there to defend them. You wonder what is in these people's head. But I can understand them. They are Muslims. That's what Muhammad did. Muhammad was #1 terrorist you had in Islamic religion. You look at what he did. That's their role model. So all they are doing there is plotting on how to conquer the rest and slaughter them. And after slaughtering you, the rest that are remaining will be under them. That's it. You'll be like fourth-class Muslims. That's all you'll be. Nothing will work there again. You lose your freedoms. We have seen their societies all over the world and what it has to offer. It's not anything fantastic. It's not anything to emulate. Why 1,300 churches destroyed in Nigeria over a decade? Why? Why? Do you see Christians going about destroying people, killing people, telling you must believe in Christ or we'll kill you? Destroying mosques left and right and center? You never hear of that, isn't it? Do you think Muslims even ask themselves a question, why are we the ones destroying? And then they come out and some of them are so stupid and bold to be lying, as if they are talking to people who don't know them. When they defend these crimes that they commit, is an insult to public intelligence. And it needs not to be acceptable anymore for those of you in the media who go and bring them to be talking, in such an insulting way to people, ignoring the issues, ignoring the evil which they commit in that land, which are so massive. Let me just read this before I get back to this issue of Asaba Massacre. On what I'm saying, to emphasize. It says here, quote, from 1980 to 2019, the Stephanos Foundation record shows a total of 1,785 attacks. From 1980 to 2019. So let's put it as 20 years. The Stephanos Foundation, this is an independent foundation, but the records of what is going on is taking place, definitely. Their record shows a total of 1,785 attacks in 32 states of the country. This led to the death of not less than 28,878 innocent people. 28,878 innocent people. In 121 Muslim riots in 19 states. 121 Muslim riots in 19 states. Muslim, that is the Islamic people. They are the ones who are rioting. Not Christians. Not animists. Nothing is the Muslims rioting. You see? The death of 9,451 lives occurred. 121 Muslim riots in 19 states. Also, Boko Haram militant groups were responsible for 701 attacks. 701. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7, not 8, not 9, not 10, not 11, not 12, not 13, and not 100. 701 attacks that claimed 12,812 lives in 15 states. In 15 states. Again, 963 attacks from Fulani militant groups. Let me say it again. 963 attacks from Fulani militant groups. Not Biram group. Not Igbo group. Not Yoruba group. Fulani, 963 attacks from Fulani militant groups. And you bring out some of them and tell us, these people, that, oh, he's a good Fulani person. None of them condemns all this. Do they? They don't. Shows you what they are. So when you say that a group of people have a bunch of massive mass murderers, it is cool. You know, it fits their description. Otherwise, you will have a problem, because other people, the good ones, will raising voice against what is going on there, and you will not see it function as it, be successful as it is. That it says again, 963 attacks from Fulani militant groups in 32 states were responsible for 6,615 deaths. And up till today, no one has been brought to book. Let me repeat this again. It says, up till today, no one has been brought to book for you one Nigerianists. Not one person has been brought to book. And they are the ones who have power. And you want us to see these people who perpetrate this evil as civilized people, as people for you to go and discuss with and talk with. They have, you go and interview them in television stations and all kinds of. And what kind of nonsense is this? Are they supposed to be brought out as people who are human beings, or what? Are they really human? That's a question for them to answer. Instead, it is those who cried out that were subjected to state harassment. You see, they hijacked the government and they use it to harass those who cry out. A few suspects arrested were later freed to continue with their atrocities. A few, I said, they will just set them free. That is why they hijacked all the military and security agencies in government. Where is that done? Where is the federal character with which everybody was out to slaughter the Igbo in the 1960s? Where is the federal character? And where are those who are being busy, quick to slaughter the Igbo in 1960? Where are you now? You can't come out and slaughter the Fulani. Eh? Fulani has done 1,000%. What did Igbo do? They were there out of their own qualifications because they were selected by the British. They never even put themselves there. They are the ones qualified to take the job. And they did. They were given the job. And it was a problem for the whole of Nigeria. Now, Fulani has been wrecking the whole place since 1960, destroying everything. Where are you? You that is busy to, trying to tell us that Igbo is ethnic bigots, or that they discriminate against others. All these kinds of ratcheted up propaganda against an innocent people. Where are you now? A few suspects arrested were later free to continue with their atrocities. It was the federal government that was justifying the killings of the citizens by accusing some governors of making laws against open grazing. See, this is the federal government which they have hijacked. The Fulani have hijacked. Because you call it federal government, it's Fulani government now. Justifying the killings of citizens. They go and bring their fellow Fulani from somewhere, and they come in and kill people too. Take their land. And all of you are just there talking about why Biafra, why this, why, what, how do you expect somebody whose brain is intact to see you? They claim that the killings were not genocide against Christians, but farmers had a clash. You see, they want grazing by all means necessary. And this is simply a pretext to take over your land. Because that's what they've been doing historically. Taking other people's land, killing them, slaughtering them, subduing them, and imposing themselves on those people. We have seen it is there in Nigeria for you. In light of the current developments and the circumstances, facts surrounding the prevailing upsurge of attacks against the church, it will be difficult for us to believe that the federal government under the present administration is not colluding with the insurgents to exterminate Christians in Nigeria, bearing in mind the very questionable leadership of the security sector that has been skewed towards the religion and region. So in terms of collusion, even Danjuma, who served them, and Obasanjo, they've already said that these are people you believe, not Radio Biafra. That's why we mention their names, so you can go and check them out. But these quotes came from Samson Ayokunle, President Christian Association of Nigeria, speaking at a World Press Conference on Thursday, January the 23rd, 2020, at the National Christian Center, Abuja. There was a report under there, which was on January 31st, 2020, says about a female Boko Haram suicide bomber who killed 3 boys in Borno. And this is what it says. It says another faction affiliated to the Islamic State focuses on military targets, although it has recently been blamed for attacks on civilians. They have different factions now. So many, some of them we can't count, or we don't even know their names any longer. The decade-long violence has killed 35,000 people in northeastern Nigeria. The decade-long violence has killed 35,000 people in northeast Nigeria and displaced around 2 million from their homes, creating a dire humanitarian crisis. The conflict has spread to neighboring Niger, Chad, and Cameroon, prompting a regional military response to combat the jihadist groups. This was on Vanguard News of Friday, January 31, 2020. This is why we find it imperative that we inform our people, that we educate them on what is going on. So today, we'll take a look at the Asaba massacre. The Asaba massacre. We all know that the Igbo people were first massacred in Nigeria in 1945 in Jos. And who did the massacring? It is the Hausa Fulani. The Fulani leads the Hausa in the massacre anyways, because the Hausas were conquered, so they just followed them and made them sheepish. Now, in 1953, there was another riot in Kano, and the Igbo were attacked. I mean, since then till today, we've had riots and killings of others, and it's by Islamic North Muslims. That's why we went searching to find out why is it that these people behave like this. That is a legitimate question, because the others, Yoruba is not jumping out and killing people everywhere. The Gwari are not jumping out and killing people. The Nupe are not killing people everywhere. The Birom are not doing that. The Tiv are not doing that. The Efik are not doing that. The Igbo are not doing that. The Jo is not doing. Why Fulani and Kanuri? That is a question, legitimate question to ask. That is an intelligent and rational question to ask. Why do you have violence emanating from a particular group of people? And we found out that their religion is the problem. Yes. If they think it's not their problem, they should tell us where that problem is coming from. Well, look at the Asaba massacre. And I mentioned 1945 and 1953 to show you that our people, the Biafrans, have been already killed in Nigeria before 1966. Nigerians want to make 1966 as if it's the beginning of the crisis, and it's not. It's not at all. It is. It started in 1945, the killings at least. Nigerians' problem started in 1914, we know that. or you can find a good back further to when the British came. But again, in 1960, when Nigeria was given independence, we saw what Tafawa Balewa, the prime minister, and Ahmadu Bello, the premier of the North, how they were violating everything that was supposed to be order, that was supposed to be procedure, official procedure, whether in the military or in the civil service. H.E. Davis, the principal of King's College, was given an order by Tafawa Balewa to at least take 15 Northerners into King's College, Lagos, whether they passed the requisite exams or not. Ahmadu Bello did the same through that Tafawa Balewa for the military. So that even when some officers were sent, who were Northerners, sent to Canada for a course, they said when they got there, they couldn't understand what they were doing. So the authorities decided to send them back. As soon as they landed in Ikeja, they were made up officers by the Northern military. They gave themselves promotion. They would jump 2, 3, 4 ranks. My Malari would jump from captain to brigadier immediately. They are still doing the same thing today. We just talked about in last Saturday, we just talked about how the Mr. Bichi, the head of the Directorate of State Security, DSS, went to his local government and took 71 people, just hired them. It doesn't matter whether they passed the exams or not. More than what is requested, 500 and something people, when it's supposed to be 148, he hired 533. He said almost 90% of them come from the Islamic North. They're still doing the same thing. That same thing Tafawa Balewa did in 1960 is still being done today. And some people still tell us, oh, we are Nigerians. Oh, you are Nigerian. What is your sense of revulsion against what is wrong? You know, when you don't have a sense of outrage against evil, you become abnormal. You are not normal any longer. That is the fact. And these violations are perpetrated on a constant basis by Islamic Northerners. Tafawa Balewa, after that, also joined by what is his name? Ahmadu Bello. They ensured that they brought Akintola to support them. They formed NNA in order to rig Awolowo out of the Western region. That was what caused the crisis. Awolowo plotted a coup. He was actually caught and put in jail in 1962. From then on, they wanted to rig his party out of the West. But you know that Awolowo had grassroots popularity. There was no way NNA would have won any election in that Southwest. So they went rigging as usual. And that is what caused Operation Waiting. There was bloodbath everywhere. 1964, 65, 64, and 65. The federal and regional elections. What happened? The NPC, Northern People's Congress, of Tafawa Balewa and Ahmadu Bello, who was the regional premier of the North. Tafawa Balewa was the prime minister. And remember, that prime ministership, Zik was forced to concede it to him just in order to have peace. How far do you concede to the Fulani and the Islamic people? If you want to concede to them, you concede to them your bedroom. Because they come by force. They believe that this is their right to take what is other people's. If they don't do, if it's not so, why are they taking your lands in Nigeria? Why are they taking our lands? Why are they killing people in our land? Why are they coming and destroying your farmlands? They believe it. That's what they believe. That's what they're doing. People do what they believe. So, the elections in 1964, 1965, what happened? They refused that other political parties would campaign in the North, that they even set up offices in the North. Can you believe that? Can you believe that? They refused. Tafawa Balewa and Ahmadu Bello working together. Violation of the democratic process. So there is no democracy in the first place. That's why we tell you that this idea of thinking Nigeria is actually undergoing a democracy, it's a democratic country. That's a lie. Because you have 19 states in the north that are under Sharia law. If you get into that region, you operate under Sharia law, whether you like it or not. Is Sharia law democratic? Sharia law is anything but democratic. So, you know, how do you handle that? What do you do? What do you do? They rigged the elections because that's what rigging is. Tafawa Balewa and Ahmadu Bello rigged the elections. And that was part of what also caused the crisis for that coup in January 1966. These are the main issues. Because it came to a point people couldn't stand it any longer. The violation of Tafawa Balewa, who was the prime minister, and Ahmadu Bello, the premier of the north. It came to a point, young military people, nobody could take this, just like they are doing right now. You see, as they're killing people everywhere right now. You see that? So if somebody rises up tomorrow and shoots what's his name, Buhari, and all that, what do people say? Oh, now you swing it over to it's an ethnic thing. So what they are doing, killing people is not ethnic. Taking their lands, raping women, slaughtering babies everywhere in the country. These are Fulani people and Kanuri people. Boko Haram bombing people. I just gave you some facts here from Stephanus Foundation. What they are doing is not ethnic. Is that what you're saying? Somebody reacts to what they do. You have something, because of jealousy against the Igbo people, they now turned it, this is Igbo people, it's an Igbo thing. The coup was an Igbo thing. Yet, a prime actor in the coup, Major Adewale Ademoyoga, wrote a book on it, and he explained exactly what happened. That it was simply the desire of this young to see a revolutionary change, to bring about a revolutionary change in the order of things, the way things were going. And who was making things bad? Tafawa Balewa and Ahmadu Bello, people from the Islamic North. It's always them. So let us be very clear here. And after that coup, Nigerians, out of unjustified Igbo hatred, we thank God for the apologies of the side that didn't support us during that conflict, that trying period. We also thank God for the Middle Belt who have come to apologize. We accept that apology. The point is that when you find out that what your path you're following is wrong and you change, that is the way to go. That is how you have a better future. If you don't do that, telling you, we all die out at this generation, die out in misery of all sorts, and then transfer the thing down to your children. Your children continue because you never accepted the truth in the first place. And then you expect the rewards of the truth that you don't accept. This is why when you see people who are expecting Nigeria to start, I just, frankly, I found it unbelievable sometimes. It's incredible that people think that way in the face of what they can see. And from then on, the campaign was ratcheted up that this Igbo coagulation was there. The British went and instigated them. Even Wilcox, lecturers in Ahmadu Bello, who were white people, there were still about 250 British expatriates in Nigeria then. By 1966, you can't believe that. Yeah. And like Ahmadu Bello said, we prefer them rather than have an Igbo person to teach or somebody, if an Igbo person or somebody from somewhere else. We prefer them. Use Northerners. So they don't believe in one Nigeria themselves. That's why they have Northern Progressive. Zeke will have National Council of Nigeria and Cameroons. Yeah. it will be Nigerian, fighting for everybody's freedom. But what was Ahmadu Bello doing? He was fighting for northern domination, not even freedom, but for other groups. So it's the Northern People's Congress. Same thing with the West. There is sectional partisan politics. That's what they were playing. And they ratcheted up that propaganda. The British told the North, how can you be there and Igbo people will take over? How can you be there and Igbo people will this and that? You know, they come and whisper in your ears. That's how they do. That's how evil functions. And after that, what happened? They went and killed Aguirre and began to slaughter every military man who was from the East. Once you're from the East, that's it. The Igbo were the main target. You know, if you're on the East, of course, you are related to them, so you have to go with them. So they were killing everyone. All over Nigeria, in the West, in the North, where is nowhere left. Prior to that coup, there was also a massacre of 1,000, some say it's up to 3,000, but from my accounts I've seen it's 1,000, more than 1,000 thieves who were demonstrating in 1964 to have their own sort of region. But if they had that region, it would have been independent, it would have cut down the power of the Islamic North. So they decided to suppress and massacre them. That was part of the reason why people like Major Anuforo decided to join that coup in order to take away these people, Ahmadu Bello and co. We don't worship people, like Fulani people who put Ahmadu Bello, he's a god, whatever he says. That's not our culture. That's why we say we are not the same. So let's split this thing because we cannot function the same. Anybody in Igbo land can question the governor, question anybody, question whether you're president or not. Yes, we have the freedom of speech. It was in Igbo culture. All these rights you're reading before white man brought that out. So we live differently. We live differently. We rather go by truth. What is the truth of an issue? Not what is your position for an issue. We don't have hereditary positions. Somebody is king and his son will be king. So what does that mean? It's completely rubbish to us. That's why we see things differently. If you merit something according to your own hard work and as a person, you'll be there. You should be there. And you have heard even from leaders of great nations that what pushes progress is when you have meritocracy. So that is our culture. Now, if you want to keep, somebody there who is full of himself because he's the son of so and so, and then he comes, wakes up every morning and pretends that he cares about you. Even if he cares about you, how much does one person know versus when everybody else is involved? He can't be there and know what the other persons know other places. So to be there and just decide, take a decision on everybody, that's completely wrong in our own assessment. And we believe strongly that our line of thinking along those styles of governance is completely correct. Anybody who has anything to say about it can bring it up. So, after that coup, by July the 29th, Aguirre, who was the military leader, who quelled the coup of January, he was one of the targets, was killed, and the mass killing of Igbo people everywhere in Nigeria began. The pogrom. We had 100,000 people slaughtered. Can you imagine when 100,000 people are slaughtered in one place, in one country, 100,000 people slaughtered? On top of that, the Igbo still went to conference to look for peace. They were in Lagos and they had a conference by September 12th, I think 12 to 15 in Lagos. Akanu Ibiam was there to have on a constitutional conference. As they were already putting down the resolutions of this conference, 75% of it Gowon came up and said it has to stop. The British tell them, okay, you got to stop that again. Because, you just obey the British. That's what you do. You want progress, but you want to obey your enemy. You don't even see them as your enemy. You see them as master. Stop worshiping people. We worship God, not people. That is the difference between the Igbo and you, who claim that you know what you're doing about Nigeria, and the Fulani people and the Kanuri people. And so, no, we worship God. A human being can be wrong. And if he think he's wrong, you can tell him that. That is, you're wrong in what you're doing. Can you change? A human being doesn't give another life or whatever. Well, why should you now come up and be acting God? It is our duty to love one another as human beings. That's true. But let's accept our limitations as human beings. I have limitations. There are things I don't know. There are things I need to know. I have to ask you. Because I figure out that you might know better based on your own experience over there. Not for me to just blanket, But whatever I'm saying about Fulani and Kanuri, I'm going by facts. The facts. The facts speak for themselves. Yeah. So after these killings, after the conference in Lagos was aborted, the Biafrans also went to Aburi, January the 4th and 5th. They had a conference. Everything was agreed. Remember, they have abolished the resolution of the conference in September of 1966. In fact, while that conference was going on, there was another wave of massive massacre of Igbo people again erupted. That is how evil Nigeria is. It's an evil place. It's an evil place, and it shall die to die. If all of you want to still maintain Nigeria, you will suffer till it dies, but it must die. And I say it not in terms of prophecy. I say it in terms of knowledge that evil dies, that evil must be defeated. Nigeria is nothing but evil. Made most people there evil too. After the decisions in Aburi, these people, they came back and discarded it. The British talked to them again. They said, okay, yeah, discard it. Igbo people want to do this and that and that and that. Igbo is always the boogeyman. Igbo, look at them, they are behind you, they are doing this, so they are doing, and that's it. They just cancel, throw the thing to them. When you decide to discard an agreement that was officially reached, what do you expect the others to do? And remember, the declaration of Biafra is the right of the people. And they have already gone miles in patience with Nigeria. Some of us feel that what the Igbo people should have done immediately at that killing is to kill back, to go and kill back. And you're bringing them to that level very soon. You will see that every human being has some form of that. God has put it in all of us. Trust me when I tell you that. Go and read history. Go and read the history of Israel, by the way. When you decide to go animalistic on you, you will see the type of beast you have never seen. I'm telling you, you can't imagine it. And you have all these people all the time killing innocent people. For what? Why must somebody who's innocent, who have done nothing wrong to you, be killed? And you say it's because you're a Muslim. Then we looked into your book, we saw that your prophet actually tells you to do so. Say, okay, this is the cause of the problem. That's why we broadcast it. And people say, oh, well, why you can't talk like that about religion? What do you mean? We have a problem here, and we have to we have to determine the root causes of that problem. Now, if anybody thinks that we're wrong, speak up. It's all over the internet. The whole world is discussing it anyways. Most Muslims are held there out of fear. Yes. Why must somebody decide to leave a religion, the penalty for that become death? How many Christians have left Christianity and you hear that they were killed? You don't hear that. It's only with Islam that you hear this type of terrible things, horrible things. Why? You want to control him by force. That's what you want to do. What else? If you're controlling somebody by force, is that person actually doing it out of his will? How can you say somebody believes in something, but you have a gun on his head to believe it? Does he really believe in it? Or is it your gun on his head that is believing it for him? And that's why we say our thinking and yours are completely different. We cannot live together. We just can't. You have to go your way and do this thing that you're doing. Find a way to live your life the way you want. We were different actually before Nigeria was created. So, and Nigeria was created without consultation and consent of the indigenous peoples of the land. So why is anybody saying, oh, it's indivisible, it's this and that and that? What an insult. Stop insulting people when you say that Nigeria is, because it's an insult. We don't like insults. Did the British create us? Is the Fulani create the peoples of Nigeria? Well, leave them alone for goodness sake. You didn't create them. Let them decide whether they want to stay in Nigeria or not. And if you decide to leave, let them go. If you decide to stay in Nigeria, then stay. It is your decision. I'm gradually coming to the Asaba massacre. Because of the Aburi Accord being reneged on by Gowon, Gowon went and declared 12 states without consultation, the same way that most other states were created even after, till today, to give more states in the north, more local governments and more representation to the north, Islamic north, in the National Assembly, where they are fast to tell us to go to settle our case. There's so much violation in these people that when they talk, you wonder. If it's where I come from, you talk to someone like that, he'll tell you, I will slap you. Stop talking to me like that. We are not playing childish games here. After the military led by Northerners have given themselves more states and more representation in the north, by virtue of military fiat, you want us to go to the same National Assembly to look for justice. National Assembly that is skewed. National Assembly that is a representation of injustice and unfairness and inequity. That's where you want us to go to. That's why we say that we don't think like you. You are, I don't know how to put it. But what is your mindset? The mindset of a typical Fulani is very dangerous. Very evil. Very evil. They have no knowledge of equities. All they know is, or doing something fairly, is just conquer him, kill him, do this. That's all. That's what you see they're doing today. And they are moving on with that plan. So after the Aburi that was renewed, Gowon went ahead to create 12 states. Can you imagine? Without consulting anybody. So Biafrans also met 335 members of the Eastern Consultative Assembly and decided that they needed their own country. They can't continue with this. There is no agreement that Nigeria keeps. Not one. Not one. Since then till today, every conference, they have resolutions. Obasanjo's conference in 2005, 157 resolutions. It was not one was carried out. Under Jonathan, the National Conference has 600 resolutions. Not one was carried out. They never carry out any decision because the Islamic North wants to frustrate everything and swallow everybody up. But they will swallow what that thing you're putting in your mouth will be too much for you to swallow. It's just going to be too much for you to swallow. I'm talking to the Islamic North. They are going to, most likely, I don't see how it's not going to happen. Killing everybody, Satan Kaduna, you're killing people. Jigawa, you're killing people. Adamawa, people are being killed. Plateau State killings. Why are these people simply killers? And they will call them killers. Somebody has the guts, the temerity to question why that label is on them. As I'm telling you right now from Samson Ayokunle's statement, you can see that not one person has been prosecuted with all these deaths going. Not one person. All they need is power so they can ruin the whole place. Why is the North the poverty capital of the world? Why is the North the terrorism capital of the world? Where do you place that responsibility? Is it not on the politicians, the leaders, the governors, the president? Where do you place the responsibility? Yet, the revenue system is skewed against others who produce that money, that revenue. The revenue is produced from the southeast, oil. But you steal all that oil. The oil wells, 83% of it is owned by Northerners, mostly Islamic Northerners. So you take the oil, and then what do you do with it? They just squander it. Al-Majri is everywhere. They're encouraging parents to have children in the name of jihad, but children you cannot raise properly. What a despicable people you are. What a despicable people these people are, the Fulanis and the Kanuris. You encourage children, a child. You have a child and you leave him to be begging on the street. A child. We don't believe in that kind of culture, and we're not going to ever accept that type of rubbish. And some of them have the guts to talk. Shameless people. Completely shameless people. Very evil. You are very evil people. I've said it and I've said it again. You have evil in you, and that evil will destroy you. You will see what the God of Israel will do to you when the time comes. You think you are intimidating anybody? Wait. Your time is coming. What type of people are this? And then, after the declaration of Biafra came, after the 335-member consultative assembly representing every part of southeastern Nigeria decided to pull the region out of Nigeria because they were still killing them all over the place. Bloodthirsty animals, still killing everybody. That bloodthirst is still going on today. That is why we are telling people you must be insane to believe that there will be Nigeria. There is something, it's some form of insanity. Insanity functions in different ways. It's not only when you don't have clothes on walking on the street, that means you're insane. It's the Fulani, you see what they're doing in Nigeria. Are they insane people? Insanity functions in different ways. Different ways. And there was a declaration of Biafra in 30th May 1967. And by July 6th, Nigeria attacked Biafra in July 6th. Through Garkem and Ogoja area. And Obolafo. They attacked. And that's the war started. When the war started, remember that Asaba was in the Midwest. That part was still Nigeria. Obemudia was the military leader of, and then Ejo was the military leader of the Midwest. What happened eventually? Rather than Nigeria spare those who were in Nigeria, the area they called in Nigeria, because they were Igbo, they decided to kill them, showing you that this was simply about ethnic cleansing, nothing else. That was why Washington Post said in July 2nd, 1969, that one word now describes the policy of the Nigerian military government towards secessionist Biafra: genocide. It is ugly and extreme, but it is the only word which fits Nigeria's decision to stop the International Committee of the Red Cross and other relief agencies from flying food to Biafra. They didn't just stop them, they will shoot down Red Cross planes. They invested money in politics, just like they're investing now against Biafra. Talking about blocking frequency and all the rest of that. A country where there is hunger everywhere, no infrastructure, nothing. The schools that Jonathan built for them, they are not going to those schools anymore. You can bet that all those buildings now are just collapsing, crumbling out of lack of care. They are not using it because they are not. They told Jonathan that it's about schooling to deceive him. For those of you who say it's lack of education, it is not. It is Islam. What is happening to the school? 250 schools Jonathan built for you to send Amajiri. But these people are very wicked. They don't want the Amajiri to even live normally. If ever Amajiri gets education, he will leave that thing he's doing because you know better. They can't control them anymore. So they want to leave them ignorant. So they can use them as jihadist tools and push them to others to be slaughtered. And just so they can kill and destroy everybody else. That's all they're doing. What people so mentally backward. It's unbelievable. 250 schools under Jonathan. They are not using it. Today, they're in power. Buhari is there. I mean, this is Jubril. Is there. Now, why are those schools not being used? Because it's all about jihad. It's not about schooling anybody. It's all about getting you locked up in that religion that does not set you free one way or the other. They will tell you that Western education is evil. Boko Haram book is forbidden. Okay, if book is forbidden, it is book that discovered that gun you're using. Why are you touching something that was produced through book? Book that make the car you're driving. Why do you have anything to do with that car? It's book that produced that car. Book produced so many things you're using right there with you. Book. But the book is haram. What type of thinking is this? If it is haram, car should be haram. That gun you're using to fight should be haram because it's book that produced it. The shoe you're wearing, book produced that shoe. It's haram. Throw it away too. If you have wristwatch or cell phone, that cell phone you're using to contact your fellow, it is also haram. It should be haram. Why are you using cell phone? What type of hypocritical, mindless people are this? They should be haram too. And the slaughter began. I'll read some quotations that are very important here, because this is in memory of the Asaba massacre. It says, the troops went on further and murdered innocent men, women, and children in their thousands from Benin to Onitsha. Nigeria lost in few months over 60% of our university graduates and 80% of PhD holders. Among them were permanent secretaries, judges, professors, statesmen, clergymen, and missionaries. It remains the only war of such magnitude without a monument of remembrance. If any foreign observer says there is no genocide in Biafra, he is either on the payroll of Britain or a bloody fool. The conduct of the federal troops after the recapture of the Midwest was another massacre of the Igbos. This is United Nations observer, Canadian MP Stephen Lewis in London Guardian of October 11, 1968. Chuks Ikedibe, you are there. I would like to call on you to make your contribution before I continue with this information. If you're there, if I can be connected to Chuks Ikedibe. Okay, I shall go on until we're able to get in contact with him. So, this is a United Nations observer, a Canadian member of parliament, making a statement in London Guardian of October 11, 1968. What happened? Let me read it again. It says, the troops went on further and murdered innocent men, women, children in their thousands from Benin to Onitsha. Nigeria lost in few months over 60% of our university graduates and 80% PhD holders. Can you imagine that? These are brains that you need to develop a country. Because to develop country, people are trained to be able to know how to do. That's what that education is all about. You just wasted it. 60%. Can you imagine that? Who will build a society, a country better, even if not somebody who is trained to do so? And after all the training and everything, this is the reward from Nigeria. Who's going to build it for you? The Almajiri on the street will do it. He doesn't have the training. That's why he can't. Rather, the training is given his training to kill. Among them were permanent secretaries, judges, professors, statesmen, clergymen, and missionaries. So you see, these are all people, very useful people in society, whom they destroyed. He says it remains the only war of such magnitude without a monument of remembrance. If any foreign observer says there is no genocide in Biafra, he's either in the payroll of Britain or a bloody fool. The conduct of the federal troops after the recapture of Midwest was another massacre of the Igbos. You see? So Igbos perished not only at Asaba, but at Ishiago, at Ibuza, at Ogwashuku, at Ibodo, at Abo, at Ndokwa, at Ubuluku, and other parts of Western Igbo nation. There were some other reports too that came, which I want to share with you. It says here, perhaps 8,000 Igbo civilians died when the Midwest was liberated by troops under Colonel Murtala Mohammed. Between 400 and 1,000 men died at Ishiago. Federal troops shot at women and children as they moved with automatic weapons through every heart. Can you believe that? This is Jack Shepard, senior editor of Look magazine, November 26, 1968. I read further again, another quote. There has been genocide on the occasion of the 1960s massacres. The region between the towns of Benin and Asaba, where only widows and orphans remain. Federal troops, having for unknown reasons massacred all the men. According to eyewitnesses of that massacre, the Nigerian commander ordered the execution of every Igbo male over the age of 10 years. The Nigerian commander ordered the execution of every Igbo male over the age of 10 years. This was Monsignor Georges, Pope fact-finding emissary in Le Monde, a French newspaper, French evening newspaper, on the 5th of April, 1968. Another quote says, in some areas outside the East, Igbos were killed by local people with at least the acquiescence of the federal troops. 1,000 Igbo civilians perished in Benin in this way. This was New York Review of the 21st of December, 1967. And another quote, after the federal takeover of Benin, troops killed about 500 Igbo civilians after a house-to-house search. This is Washington Morning Post, 27 September 1967. Another one says, the greatest single massacre occurred in the Igbo town of Asaba, where 700 Igbo males were lined up and shot. This is London Observer, January 21, 1968. So there are records, there are accounts, independent foreign accounts. Independent, foreign, neutral. So every account is kept. So when we say Fulani did this or Fulani, there are accounts, there are facts to back that up. We're not just saying that. So there are facts. Tomorrow you wonder why Fulani people are blemished. Why? Because these things will go into books. They are already in books. They are coming out, so that their children and children will see their depiction. And then somebody will say, oh, well, why? But that's what they did. That's what they did. If they didn't do it, it will not be recorded. So whatever you do will be recorded. It will be on record. You can guarantee that. Trust me. Look at internet. If you tell Nigerian troops and that all this destruction they were doing then, that it will be on the internet and the whole world will be seeing it, then they will not believe it. In fact, if they knew then, they wouldn't. Most of them would have said, no, we're not going to do this. But right here, it's all right in the open, in the YouTube. You just get in there, in the internet. We watch Nigerian Civil War. It's right there for you. So also is what Fulani is doing now. So is what Kanuri is doing. The Boko Haram and the Fulani herdsmen, agents of Islamic conquest. So it's all recorded. The Asaba massacre occurred in early October 7, 1967, during the Biafran War, fought over the secession of Biafra, the predominantly Igbo former eastern region of Nigeria. Asaba is ethnically and linguistically Igbo, but was never part of Biafra. In August 9, 1967, 3 months into the Biafra War, Biafran troops invaded the Midwest region to the west of the River Niger. And may I add, this is August 9, 1967. This was in response to Nigerian invasion of July the 6th from Garakan, Ogoja, and Obolafo area, Nsukka and Cross River State, Garakan. They invaded about a month or 2 months, is that? A month before the Biafrans responded. So this was response. And the response was Biafra was targeting the capital, which was Lagos. They moved straight to Lagos. Yeah. They spread west, taking Benin City and reaching as far as Ore, where they were pushed back to the Nigerian by the Nigerian 2nd Division under the command of Colonel Murtala Mohammed. And while the Biafrans were going, you don't see them slaughtering people everywhere and there. No. It was the animalistic, barbaric Nigerian troops that were busy slaughtering innocent civilians. The federal troops gained the upper hand and forced the Biafrans back to the Niger, where they crossed the bridge back into the Biafran city of Onitsha, which lies directly across from Asaba. The Biafrans blew up the eastern parts of the bridge so that the federal troops were unable to pursue them. The federal troops entered Asaba around 5th October and began ransacking homes and killing civilians, claiming they were Biafran sympathizers. Reports suggest that several hundred may have been killed individually and in groups at various locations in the town. Leaders summoned the townspeople to assemble on the morning of 7th October, hoping to end the violence through a show of support for one Nigeria. I keep saying something about this idea of obeying government when you know you're about to be killed. They asked them to assemble because if they're assembling, it's easier to pick all of them out, to just shoot all of them. If they said no, we wouldn't assemble, if they kill one or two, the others will run. They would have been alive. And we tell our people, stop this acquiescence of an evil government, just like you have now. Who told you that because it's a government, it must be right? You need to know what is wrong and right. That's why I say, go and read the Bible. Read the Bible for goodness sake. And stop acting like you know anything without reading it. Most of you don't read the Bible. And you come up here and tell us about how it's smart. You are smart for what? You know, look at Western Europeans. Look at what they're doing. They're MPs. How they bring Muslims into their society, and before they know it, Sharia law is erupting left and right and center. And our people, the reason why those Sharia law is erupting is because those MPs went to school and they were not taught the basics of right and wrong. There's no way you can read the Bible and not know exactly what right and the difference between right and wrong. There is no way, it's impossible. So, read the Bible. Do so you can know the truth. Anytime government that you know that is after your life tells you to gather in a place or that you must obey them and so on and so forth, please do not do so. Don't do that. The Jews did it in Germany and Western Europe. And you remember how much it cost them? These are our people too. Cost them 6 million. And we grieve over them. We grieve over those Jews that died. What type of thing is this? Huh? And there are people who are trying to resist. You say, oh no, how can you want to resist? You're causing trouble. He's causing trouble, but Hitler that is using is causing what? Causing peace. Of course, before you know it, if the Jews, who 6 million were resisting, like I always say, yeah, at most, let's say Hitler kills 500,000. 5.5 million would have been alive. Yes? 500,000 die out of so many things. And then let me tell you the truth. Those who are the Mr. Peace, there are those who are more peaceful than God. They will come up and tell you that 500,000, the reason why they died is because they were resisting, that if they weren't resisting, they would have been alive. That's how they talk. That's how you know them. These people are nothing but a bunch of cowards. And this is evil that comes out even inadvertently. How can you tell the people, and for you, those of you who are Christians, you talk about sin. You look at the scriptures when it talks about sin. Why is the sin of the government not sin to you? Why, you talk about resisting the devil. The devil operates through all the different people. It can run through human beings. When they start operating, that devil start operating. You have to resist that. That's what resisting the devil is. Or you acquiesce, you obey him. That means you're serving the devil. You do what the devil wants you to do. He wants you to die. That's what we're telling Christians all over Nigeria, in Southern Kaduna, in Adamawa, all the way in Borno. You have to resist the onslaught, Islamic onslaught and conquest in that land. It is your right. Because even in IDP camps, you see they're bombing you. All they're thinking about now is how we can slaughter all of them in IDP camps. Because if they can slaughter them and nobody will say anything, you know they'll do it immediately. These people are devilish, and I'm telling you, you need to resist them with everything in you. Let's go for that. He says, hundreds of men, women, and children, many wearing the ceremonial aquacha, white attire, paraded along the main street, singing, dancing, and chanting One Nigeria. You see where your death comes? They are singing and chanting One Nigeria. Stop saying One Nigeria because you think that you will be alive. You are prolonging your misery. That's what will happen. There is nothing like Nigeria, really. Nothing. It's just what this thing Lugard came and did there, and that's all. Without the consent of your fathers or their consultation. At a junction, men and teenage boys were separated from women and young children and gathered in an open square at Obuosowa village. Federal troops revealed machine guns and orders were given, reportedly by second in command, Major Ibrahim Taiwo, to open fire. Ibrahim Taiwo, Yoruba man. It is probably from Kwara State, Yoruba Muslim. It is estimated that more than 700 men and boys were killed, some as young as 12 years old, in addition to many more killed in the preceding days. The bodies of some victims were retrieved by family members and buried at home, but most were buried in mass graves without appropriate ceremony. Many extended families lost dozens of men and boys. The period that federal troops occupied Asaba for many months, during which time most of the town was destroyed, many women and girls were raped or forcibly married. You see, that is where Abraham Babangida got his wife and so many of these northern military men. They were raped or forcibly married, and large numbers of citizens fled, often not returning until the war ended in 1970. The total death toll during early October was in excess of 1,000, although the exact numbers will likely never be known. Asaba became the Auschwitz of the Igbo in the Midwest. Our sister, Ifoma Wadike, is here, and I would like to call on her for her contribution on this issue. The Asaba massacre. Why would a people just be told to come and gather somewhere during wartime period, and they go there and just gather? There are those that run, if the report says it. Why not run away? You know? Our wonderful sister, Ifeoma Wadike. Please.
Yeah.
Send your voice.
Thank you, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you clearly. We can hear you.
Oh, yeah. Good morning.
Good morning.
I welcome everybody too. I thank you for having me. I know it's a terrible situation. You know, sometimes we believe differently. Even in this quest right now, Biafra quest, some people believe differently, and some people listen to some people that are singing the war song. You know, our people see Ojoso Abakurogo, Maranogo Bong. You know, there are some deaths that are not supposed to be. You know, I heard someone saying, "Nah, Ochohi Wete Biafra that will cost him nothing." And Ochohi Wete Biafra that will cost him nothing more, stuff like that. I mean, people say a lot of things, but I know that the first point of human life is survival. Survival is the first point, safety and life. So in whatever we do, my own play will be we should have our eyes on safety and have our eyes on survival. Because it's not an act of being a hero for you to bring out yourself and get killed. You know, like you're talking about the Jews, people that were killed in the past, you know, and how a lot of them would have lived. Yeah, some people still have that mentality. Let's go, let's go. Oh, and they all went, and they were killed. So right now, as we fight and agitate for Biafra, I will really want to plead with us to stop every form of demonstrations. We should really stop it and focus on, let's focus on the tangible things. Stop demonstrations and focus on tangibles. We're going to get our numbers by, registration. Like go to online and register that you are agitating for this. So that when the battle starts, the people that will do all the lobby will do it for us.
Yeah, sorry, it's like we have lost contact. She will be back after that. And she's advocating for activism. Activism. It's true. We don't want anybody to die, but not in the face of what we have. We want you to also understand that you have to make a decision. That sometimes it might be very risky not to do anything. Organize, so that if in fact this thing comes to a battle, you can be organized. That is the point. Go to your meetings, your town union meetings. Join a group and do something. Don't just sit and do nothing. That is a recipe for disaster that you can be sure of. Because the fact that your enemy is coming to kill you is already killing you anyways. I mean, there is no question about that. We're already being killed. We are already being killed. So, we need to be organized. Our politicians have sold out to us. That's why we talk about this power. We must begin to meditate on how you can get power. In other words, to ensure that you're able to protect yourself in the face of something like this, of attack. That is very, very important. Without that protection, I'm telling you, you are vulnerable. You cannot be free. Israel is free today because they have arms and ammunition. Yeah, if you attack them and see what they'll do to you. And you see all these mad people, come up there, jihadists. Yeah, they know their limits. So they know their limits. We need to begin to think about how to put the limits on this nonsense that is going on. Because you think of peace. He's not thinking of peace. He's thinking about how to attack you. You are the one talking peace. Fulani cannot be talking peace. Kanuri cannot be talking peace. These are Arabs who came into Africa. They're telling you they're going to take over the whole place and Islamize. Let me tell you, it's not going to stop if that's not the news. Go and check it now. That's why we say Google. When you need to Google on your phone and read a little something about their belief system, about the Islamic belief system. That will help you understand what you're doing, so you don't place your hopes wrongly. While we wait on our sister, I'd like to call on Chuksi Kedigwe. If I can be connected to Chuksi Kedigwe, I'd be glad to make a comment on that. Because when people come out and you say, oh, I'm one Nigeria, you just want to win the war.
Okay, Chuks is here.
All right, Chuks, thank you so much. I'm able to connect it.
Thank you that you can hear me.
There's some noise in the background. If you can.
Yeah, I'm actually in a noisy place right now. I don't know if it's better now.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, this week has been a terrible week for most of us that truly Biafrans. It has been the 53rd anniversary of the Asaba massacre. The Asaba massacre was daylight opening of eye and murdering people, even people who were supporting you. And that's why, like you said, it's very terrible to support Nigeria, because Nigeria will even murder you for supporting them. So that they tell you that the killing of the Igbos in those years was because they were against Nigeria. But we even see Asaba people who were even supporting them. They didn't know they were sleeping with the enemy. Supporting Nigeria is more or less like sleeping with the enemy, and that's what Asaba people did. They slept with the enemy, and what would the enemy do when you sleep with him? He murders you, he kills you, he rapes your wives, he rapes your children. At the end of the day, he takes them as a trophy, and that's why as a trophy. And that's why we saw people like Miriam, Babangida, and co. He married off to the murderers of their people. It's one of the greatest things for somebody to marry the greatest crime that somebody can commit. Marrying the killers of your people who are not even remorseful for those killings. I don't know. It must have taken us something to have done that, but I don't know what it took up. But that is something I do not wish even for my enemy to marry somebody who murdered their people for no just cause reason. So we are definitely sending sympathies. I don't know what to. We brace my heart this time we talk about the Asaba massacre. And I thank God that most of our people have taken time to document what actually happened there. Because if they don't document it, they will deny it tomorrow. Thank God most of our Asaba brethren have taken time to document it. We will never forget. Actually, we will never forget this murder because we want murder too much. And it keeps continuing. So we must remember them. We must make sure that we said that we mark these years. We must mark these days. We must organize programs to remember these days, because the more we do it, the more it becomes harder for them to forget about this murder. So we must actually internationalize this episode because it's very noble to the fight for Biafra, because you can't just kill these people. What actually happened about this killing is that Nigeria buloshu with this Asaba killing. And we know that Ikwashu in our land, Ikwashu, exactly, Ikwashu. Nigeria can't be rushing Fagbulu Nasaba. So we must impress it on them that they must wipe the Oshu Fagbulu. Until that is done, whatever they are talking is babash. So I will stop here for now. Thank you. Why I wait behind? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Trixie Kedigwe. It's good to hear your voice. I'll go further with this information further. It says here, Ibrahim B. Haruna has sometimes been named as the officer who ordered the massacre following a report of his testimony to the Nigerian Human Rights Violation Investigations Commission, known as the Oputa Panel. This article quoted him as claiming responsibility as the commanding officer and having no apology for the atrocity. See, they don't have an apology for it. And it says here, however, Haruna was not present in Asaba in 1967. He replaced Murtala Mohammed as CEO of the 2nd Division in spring of 1968. So while there are no eyewitness reports of Mohammed ordering the killings, he was the commander in the field and thus must bear responsibility. In October 2017, the Asaba community marked the 50th anniversary of the massacres with a 2-day commemoration, during which the new comprehensive book on the massacre, its causes, consequences, and legacy was launched. The Asaba Massacre, Trauma, Memory, the Nigerian Civil War, by S. Elizabeth Bird and Fraser Otanelli. This is the Cambridge University Press that printed this book. This book, which draws on interviews with survivors and military and government figures, as well as archival sources, discusses how and why the massacres happened and the impact of this community trauma decades after the event. So, General Murtala Mohammed actually was born in 1938, but he died in February 13, 1976. I still remember the morning in which the news was broken that he died. I was just about 9 years old then. He was a Nigerian political and military leader who was fourth head of state from 1975 until his assassination in 1976. Murtala Mohammed was born on November 8, 1938 in Kano to a Fulani ruling class family. So see, he's Fulani. His father, Mohammed Riskuwa, was from the Genawa clan, who had a history of Islamic jurisprudence, as both his grandfather and great-grandfather held the title of Chief Alkali of Kano. So you can see he has that roots, Fulani roots in the teachings of conquest, Islamic conquest. and Islamic law, the Sharia law. So his father was Chief Al-Kali. Al-Kali are Islamic judges. See? So at the start of Nigerian Civil War, Mohammed was the commander of the newly established 2nd Infantry Division. The 2nd Division was responsible for the beating back of the Biafran army from the Midwest region, as well as crossing the River Niger and linking up with the 1st Division, which was advancing from Nsukka and Enugu. However, this was only achieved after several failed river crossings, in which thousands of troops died as a result of drowning or enemy fire. The Biafran resistance drowned thousands of troops from Nigeria trying to cross over cross the River Niger. Remember, Biafra, when Biafra started that war, they had, did they say 127 bolt-action rifles? That's all they had. But Nigeria started with a standing army, with everything loaded. Then the British began to supply weapons to them. You must acknowledge the valor which God had given Biafrans to be able to withstand these people, because the killings continues on and on. So the actions of the division of the Southern Division during this period, mostly in Asaba, became a subject of speculation. But in a book published in 2007 by this Elizabeth Baird and Otanelli, 1967 massacre, murder of civilians by troops of 2nd Division under General Muhammad Buhari is now, of course, very much established and documented. There is another book that actually documents it so well, and I think it is anybody who wants to dig in deeply into it should go and read Blood on the Niger, the first black-on-black genocide by Emma Okocha. Emma Okocha, such a wonderful book. He's from there, and he gave a deep, wonderful details, deep details. Being somebody who knows everything about there, was born there probably and grew up there, but it's his native land. He knows what is going on there, and he was able to put this wonderful record together about what happened. When the war started, there were people who were Igbo who became saboteurs, people like Major General Cyril Iweze. Cyril Iweze hails from Ishiago in today's deltas, in Anioma. And you see, the sad thing about it is that even Anioma, of course, these are our own brethren who simply cross the river. The river does not divide us from them. They're part of us. So Cyril Iweze played a role that was truly ignominious, that was the sabotage of your people's interest. People like Philip Asiodo played a very bad role as well. His brother was killed in that, and people from Ishiago were massacred as well, but they played a role for that. Murtala Muhammad was assassinated in February 13, 1976, but he was also assassinated with Colonel Ibrahim Taiwo. That Ibrahim Taiwo is believed to be the person who was right there and gave the orders, actually. And from all accounts, it was Ibrahim Taiwo that gave the orders. He was a former military governor of Kwara State from July 1975 to February 1976, during the military regime of General Murtala Muhammad. So while Murtala Muhammad was head of state, he was the military governor of Kwara State. After the war, they rewarded themselves with positions, definitely. As the person who went on the slaughter of the Igbos with him. So, I'm head of state now, so you take Kwara State. That's it. So he took Kwara State as the governor. He assisted in establishing the University of Ilorin, which was founded by a decree in August 1975. Taiwo was born in Wushishi, Niger State, to the family of Adeoshun and Emily Taiwo. He was brought up in Kagara, and was sometimes called Ibrahim Kagara, while he was in school. Taiwo's father was of Obomosho ancestry. Ibrahim Taiwo was educated at senior primary school, Mina, Bida Middle School, and briefly attended the provincial secondary school of Kenneth for his higher school certificate. And he had his military career by joining the military in 1961. Can you imagine somebody who joined the military in 1961 and by 1966, He was already a colonel. You see what we are talking about in Nigerian promotion, all of them will just jump positions and things like that. It was a mockery of the military order, military hierarchy and order. That was what was perpetrated in Nigeria by Tafawa Balewa and the Sokoto Caliphate, Caliph, Ahmadu Bello. That's what they did. And when we are talking about Sokoto Caliph, let me say that all the Emirates and the so-called Caliphate was imposed on the people. They are not, it should be rejected by the peoples of those lands and the natives. So it is just something they're answering for themselves. Shouldn't be admitted. So in 1961, that's when Ibrahim Taiwo went into the military. And just in 5 years, this man was a colonel. How can you enter the military and just in 5 years you're a colonel? Where is that done? This is a mockery of Nigeria. Everything is done, and just like you see this government doing, it just does it anyhow, and that's it. Nobody said the Supreme Court judge now is a Sharia judge. Is a Supreme Court judge in a nation that's supposed to be secular, a nation that's supposed to be practicing democracy. Can you believe that? So that is why we say that Nigeria is not working and cannot work. It is better everybody starts forgetting it. But don't say you are not one to be ready to protect yourself from the onslaught of these people and what they are doing. They are there. Everybody knows it and has seen it. What you do, the rest we do is up to us. It's whatever we figure out to do. And you all know what I mean. You need to figure out ways to defend yourself. You need to figure out ways so that you don't just get out there to be slaughtered because you want to be answering a peaceful person. That's what they want you to do. Hey, don't say war. When Fulani is killing people everywhere, but your own people are telling you, don't say war, don't mention war, don't do this. Okay, you don't mention it, but understand what is going on. Understand that you need to do something to protect yourself. We don't want to see our people slaughtered en masse. Period. That's all we're saying. And so in 61, he started military training in Nigerian Military Training College in Kaduna. Also attended Mons Officer Cadet School, Aldershot. While in the Army, he served as a mechanical transport officer commanding 2nd Brigade Transport in Apapa, staff captain, Army Headquarters, Lagos, officer in charge of 7th Brigade, Asaba, and then officer in charge of the transport company, Kaduna. So it was when he was probably officer in charge of 7th Brigade, Asaba, that he committed this crime, the massive crime, And during the war, they said he was head of the Transport and Supplies Division of Nigeria. So he's Taiwo, then a captain with the Lagos garrison. Oh, sorry, he was Colonel Taiwo, but he was a captain then. So I'm sorry, I made a mistake there. He was enrolled in 1961, but for 1966 as captain. Lagos Garrison in Yaba was one of the many officers, including 2nd Lieutenant Sani Abacha, Lieutenant Muhammad Buhari, Lieutenant Ibrahim Bako, Lieutenant Colonel Murtala Mohammed, Major Theophilus Danjo, among others, who staged what became known as the Nigerian counter coup of 1966. So in 1966, when he staged the coup, he was a captain because of the grievances that fell towards the administration of General Aguiyi-Ironsi government, which quelled the 15th January 1966 coup. So they feel grievance about that, and soon after that, you can see grievance after grievance caused by northern leaders, northern military men in Nigeria. Nobody's feeling grievance anymore. This is a man, an innocent man, Aguiyi-Ironsi, who was trying to, he said he has already set up a committee to look into how to hand over power, but 6 months was too much for Nigerians to handle before this man could correct anything. He was the one that quelled the coup, and of course, whatever Tafawa Balewa was doing that's why we say we are simply a different people. These people need to go their way, and then we go our way. There's no way you can work together with people. Two people can't work together unless they agree. Let's just put it simply as that. So during the Nigerian Civil War, Taiwo was one of the key figures in the Asaba massacre. He was the principal actor who ordered thousands of defenseless individuals to be gunned down in an execution style. This is Nigeria's greatest recorded genocidal act during its civil war. Participating in the Nigerian military coup in 1976, Taiwo played a central role in the coup that ousted Yakubu Gowon and brought Murtala Mohammed to power under cover of his supply and transport duties in the army working closely with Lieutenant Colonel Mohammed. So, but Colonel Taiwo was murdered with Murtala Mohammed in 13 February 1976 during a failed coup in which the then head of state, General Murtala Mohammed, was also killed. General Olusegun Obasanjo was later appointed as head of state, keeping the rest of General Murtala Mohammed's chain of command in place. So he died in that coup. He was killed by some middle belt officers. And it was not seen as a thief coup or a middle belt coup, you know, the way they labeled the Igbo one, the January 15, 1966 one, as an Igbo coup, wrongly labeled it as such, simply because of unjustified hatred of the Igbo people in Nigeria, which is such an elephant in the room for Nigeria. Now, you have there, it says, Akintude Akinsehimwa. Akintude Akinsehimwa was not directly involved, because he's one of the people that died in that coup too, coup that removed Murtala, that killed Murtala Mohammed and Taiwo. He was not directly involved in the coup d'etat that brought him, that is Murtala Mohammed, to power, but he had played a prominent role in rallying northern officers behind the July 1966 coup that failed at Guernsey. So you see, that's how they formed some sort of camaraderie between them. And Akintude Akintehimwa was aide-de-camp of Murtala Mohammed. He was also one of the people who were killed. Now, regarding the Asaba massacre, it's very important to note that Gowon, there was a time they said Gowon had offered an apology to this. I guess he's thinking, well, if these people are Nigerians, they were living in a land that was supposed to be Nigeria, but they're Igbo people. You know, why did we kill them? Doesn't just, you know, they killed them because they're Igbo. The hatred is against Igbo. Wherever you are in that country, as long as you're Igbo, there is no way. You know, thank God the Middle Belt is waking up. If they wake up enough, the Christians in the Middle Belt, that will help their future, their life and the life of their children. As it is now, you know, it's going to cost a lot to reverse the trajectory of this. I mean, it just costs a lot of lives, definitely, because the Fulani and the Kanuri, they are not going to just cave in like that. Trust me, they will not. You know, they will keep taking lands. When they take a land, it is to the advantage. That's what you see going on, like in Zangon, Kataf, the Kataf people, how they were treated. And so on, they take their lands there, they settle their own people there, you know, they destroy the farms, they kill people anyhow, they kill others, the indigenous of the land. So to move them and rope them there is not going to be easy at all. And it's getting worse, by the way. And that is the point. This is what every Christian in the so-called Nigeria has to face, you know, including those in the southeast, so-called south, or whatever, you know, wherever you are. You know, the southeast, southwest, if you do not do nothing about they will take your father's land. It's as simple as that. We may not happen now. It will happen 50 years' time. You know, they are settling. That settling, they are settling means you are ready. They will multiply in number, send some more people, and then the fight will resume again. Because they fight piecemeal. Sometimes they move and you stop them, they'll stand there. After a while, they figure they have chance again, they move. So unless you uproot them from there, that land will be gone. And if you cannot secure land now, I don't know if your children will be able to do that. That's the point. That's the point. In the next 50 years, most of us are not here any longer. So what will happen to them? These are things that you need to be thinking as a human being, you know. And if these people are, let's say they are peaceful people living in a place, you wouldn't bother yourself. These are killers. And what they do is they will annex lands. Land annexers. That's what they are. You know, that's why we say they should be uprooted, period. That's the only way to solve the problem of Fulani and annexing land. And the Boko Haram, who is busy talking about Nigeria has to be Islamized at any cost, you know. Gowon said that in the spirit of Christian reconciliation, this is man who calls himself a Christian. He went serving Islamic North. If you go to Gowon's area now, his people are being slaughtered everywhere, including that Juma himself. So in hindsight, I guess they're seeing what they did. You know, this is what happens when you join evil. You just, you know, you don't want to say the truth. You become a false witness against others. You know, as you're doing it, it looks at you, you're gaining something. in future, that thing will flip. You will just see what you just did, what is costing. It's a spiritual law anyway. So that's why I'm saying it confidently. Nobody escapes that. I've lived long enough myself to know that it functions that way. You can never escape it, And so go on, God is a Christian. It talks about the name of Christian solution, accepted. He said to accept his apologies on behalf of the federal military government on the activities of the soldiers in Asaba during the Nigerian Civil War. He says, I'm sorry for what happened, especially to those people who lost families. It was not out of malice, but an accident of war. Forget the past and face the future. You see, that's the first thing they quickly tell you. Forget the past and face the future. They are repeating the past. That past, they are doing it. Who forgets it? You forget it to your own detriment. What they mean is that cover this evil that I did, so that nobody hears about it anymore. Because when you're bringing it up, you're making us uncomfortable. That's all this forget the past is all about. So you being not smart to go and forget your past. And when you forget your past, you make your children forget the past. They make the same mistakes you make. Trusting the wrong people, living in the wrong place, doing all kinds of, they're taking all kinds of decisions based on lack of historical information and historical knowledge. And it says, it was not out of malice, but an accident of war. Forget the past and face the future. I hope as our people will accept this apology, even if it is belated. Yes, this is General Gowon. And apologies to Asaba people in Nigeria. Please, this was in Guardian of September 21, 2001. So please, all these forget the past, what do I call it? I look at it as such a very dangerous gospel. Forget the past. Forget, but this is somebody who perpetrated a crime. He forgets the past. Yeah. If under normal sense somebody commits a crime, what should happen? They'll put you in jail. So you stay in that jail to forget the past. You see the thing? So people talk about, it's not about forgiveness, it is about repentance. Then you don't have repentance. All these things he's saying now is just to make a statement. That's all. And he said it's belated himself. He knew. He said, even if it is. So you don't know whether it's belated or not. This is what Gowon is saying. And this is a publication in Guardian of September 21, 2001. So they try to simply mellow down the severity, the enormity of their atrocity. When you allow them to do that, that thing will cover the evil they've done against you. And they will do more. They'll plot for more. Just like Fulani is doing now. You tell us forget the past. What do you mean? Wasn't these things where, ever since the killing started in 1945, the killing started and they kept on killing up till today. They are still killing. And see, people come and tell us, forget the past. Forget the past means do not raise this issue. Don't let people know about this issue. Everything Fulani is doing, like I told you before, is being recorded. Their children and children will read it in schools, in school books. It's not this one, they are throwing history out of schools. Like once you say history won't be read at school, it will be like that. No, they can't see the future. I'm telling you, those people are blind. They can't see the future. Not with their religious inundations, and unctions. They will not be able to see beyond their nose. So everything they're doing will be recorded. So it says, forget the past. It's not only Asaba. What of Isiago and others? What of Biafra as a whole? Where is the apology for people that you killed inside the designated geopolitical space that was Biafra? Then, that's why we say we are going with our people. Every Biafra now want to go from Abo to Ibanke to Igala to Arogo, all the way to Efik people. We want all of our people with us. To Pobo Ubani. Simple. We don't want all this, let people vote. You can put up a referendum so they can vote. A time will come, it is obvious and it's coming slowly, Nigeria will collapse. And then, you've heard it from the vice president, he said it, and it's been confirmed by, who else said that again about Nigeria? The Secretary of Government, Boss Mustafa, This is just about a week ago. The last broadcast we did, we read to you what they're saying. You know, Peter Obi repeated it too as well. I'll read the Peter Obi one to you, recent comment, and go back to when he said the same thing in 2008. But the signs have been there anyways, so we can know. So when he's talking about apology to Osaba, what about this year? What about Biafra themselves? Because it is obvious that the Biafra didn't cause the war. It was the Nigerians that caused the war. You know. So where is the Reconciliation, Rehabilitation, and Reconstruction Post-War Program launched? He said he will have all of them, you know, thrown away. That's why I'm telling you, it's not about forgiveness as much as about repentance of the perpetrator of any violation against the person. It was never implemented. Because let me tell you the truth, people say forgive. Yeah, we forgive him, but why should we forget it? That's why we are talking about it. So that it makes sure it never happens again. You don't tell the Jews to forget the Holocaust. You don't say that. If they forget it, even now that they are making people remember the Holocaust, there are people who are Holocaust deniers. The Holocaust of Biafra, you have people who are deniers. They will say, oh no, it never happened. You see how wicked people can be? That's why it's good for these records to be there, even from foreign, independent, and neutral observers, so that they can't deny. They won't say this is Biafran propaganda. It will fall flat on its face. So it says it was never implemented. Gowon has always used prayer as cover-up for his insincerities, you know, and our people have believed him to their detriment. Gowon, in 50 years after Biafra conference, still denied Aburi Accord and said Ojukwu said, on Biafra I stand, and he said, on Biafra you will fall. Are these the words of a truthful man who wants reconciliation? Should there be reconciliation when the party at fault is unadmitting of its wrongdoing? See, just exactly what I said. You know, during the time of Biafra, 50 years after Biafra, we saw Gowon. He was televised. He was saying that Ojukwu said on Aburi I stand and I said on Aburi you fall. Is that the statement of a repentant person? I mean, Saba brothers and sisters, when he came to you and tell you that he's sorry, even if it may be belated, can you imagine? It may be belated. He's going to acknowledge that it was belated, you know. So he's not sincere with his apologies, and that is the problem that we have. Now, let me tell you why I said that Gowon is using prayer to always cover up his own atrocities. He's using prayer. Let me read you this. This is from New York Times of October 1, 1966. He didn't start talking about this prayer thing newly. It's also the way he talks right from time. Now, let's see here. It says, quote, more than 150 Eastern Igbos slain in rioting in the northern region this week. More than 70 Igbos lost their lives in the tin mining town of Jos, when a mob of soldiers and civilians marched from one end of the town to the other, looting, burning, and killing. 25 Igbos were killed in Bauchi, 30 in Kaduna, and 500 were wounded this week alone. Work has halted at the giant Kainji Dam site in the Niger River, where Italian construction workers report 13 Igbos slain and more than 40 hospitalized. So you see, there were killing Igbo people every other place. This was what's happening in 1966. Then he says here, there were no parades or public speeches today. This is October 1. Lieutenant Colonel Gowon has proclaimed today a day of national prayer. This is October 1, 1966, when the slaughter was going on. Rather than Gowon, the commander-in-chief, give an order to his soldiers to stop killing Igbo people. He rather proclaimed the day a day of national prayer. That's why I say he has been using this prayer thing. This is a quote from New York Times of October 1, 1966. So, but Lieutenant Colonel Ojukwu, the East military governor, proclaimed that no political settlement will be acceptable to the East without stoppage of these atrocious, inhuman acts, followed by reparations and compensation to those who have lost their lives. So you can see that Gowon has always been using prayer as an excuse. You know, we have our sister Ifeoma Wadike back. We would like her to finish her thoughts on this before we move further to look at some of the things, other information that is important in the next 45 minutes.
Oh, thank you, my brother. I don't know what a call was coming in and then my phone got mixed up.
Yeah, it's
So
okay.
I have to go now. So I thank you guys for having me on again. So what I was trying to say is people bringing out themselves, demonstrating and all that is risky. We shouldn't do it anymore. I hear these people start killing people here and there, going to people's houses to bring people, arrest them, take them to God knows where, you know, and people are being killed. People are taken away and we don't see them anymore. So I don't really know what is happening in that country called Nigeria and why all this should be going on. I heard some celebrities are protesting for SARS to be stopped. I don't know, a lot is happening, but I would say to our people, keep safe wherever you are. Don't go out to get killed. Be careful your movements because there's this sale of human parts everywhere in the world right now. Kidneys are being harvested, sold, and people are into these businesses. So don't bring yourself out. Some of these people are arrested on the street. Trust me, some of them are not alive as we speak. Some of them have been sold to God knows who, and some of them have become, victims to people that are organ harvesters. So they are everywhere and they use a lot of people. So don't make yourself a victim. Don't bring out yourself. We are having a movement on how to bring about Biafra, and we're following a kind of due process. It starts with having the number. How many people want Biafra? If you want Biafra, I think there is this platform set up already where people can go and vote to say they want Biafra. Or we'll have to find a way to gather the number of how many of us want Biafra actually. So with this number and putting every other thing together, we can begin the proper approach to get our people what we need. But until we are there, we beg our people to stay safe. A lot is going on. People are missing every day. People are picked up every day. Don't give them the opportunity. So people out there are doing a lot of terrible things. And men of the underworld are operating, especially those harvesting organs. Don't bring out yourself. Agitation and protesting on the streets is not what is going to give us Biafra presently. So stay safe and keep safe. Know that people are working. There are consultations going on, interactions going on. Meaningful people are working for us on how to get this Biafra of our dream. But no, it shouldn't cost your blood, because it did cost the blood of our ancestors. They paid dearly. We don't want to pay more. So keep safe, keep strong, and keep focused. And know that terrible things are happening, and don't expose yourself, because a lot have gone and without traces. So I want to salute everybody keeping strong and moving ahead despite everything happening. I believe in our Igbo people. I trust our people. Every Igbo man is a struggling person. No matter whatever situation you find yourself, keep the struggling spirit alive. That's why they respect us all over the world. Even those that are not truthful to say who we really are. They want us to think less of ourselves, but we already know who we are. We don't need people telling us, because if you throw the Igbo man in the wilderness, he will create wealth in that wilderness and go home and bring others to come behold what he did. I trust the Igbo man. I'm proud to be Igbo, and so our ladies, we are very expensive because we know what we want. We know how to get what we want. And we are fighters. We are strugglers. We don't sit at home and expect that the heaven will be swept under our foot by our husbands or wherever. But we go out and fend for our home, our family, take care of husband, take care of family, take care of business. So being an Igbo is a blessing. So If you are born Igbo, you should be proud of who you are. You should leave that name to all ramifications because that name is not easy to come by. It's not easy to be an Igbo person. So if you are Igbo, you should be proud of who you are. No one is like you. I say it every now and then. I haven't seen anyone as blessed, as endowed, as equipped in wisdom, in everything like the Igbo people. They are exceptional people. The only thing we are still yet to get is that we are yet to be by ourselves. People want us to be in their midst because of who we are, even though they don't want to treat us well, because they think if they treat us well and give us everything, we will overtake. We are peace-loving people. Anywhere we go, we create wealth, we prosper the land, we open up everywhere. And people are amazed at how do they do it. They want to have us around, but they don't want to treat us well. You know, but that doesn't say less of who we are, because even then they know why they want to keep us, because they know we are the wealth creator. We are the light that sets the way for others to follow. So I am proud to be Igbo, and I'm proud of every Igbo person out there. Don't take yourself as you are like that. You are not one Igbo person. You cannot equate it with, you know what I mean? I'm telling you, because we are exceptionally endowed. We are different. So be proud of yourself. Keep yourself safe wherever you are. Okay. And as for our Igbo brothers that go out there and forget why they are there, you want to serve those, you want to go into slavery again, where you'll be liberated, where you know who you are because of peanuts. Trust me, the day Biafra will come, you guys will be at the back end, as the trash, the dustbin of history. That's where you will be dumped, because that's where you have chosen for yourself. But for those who speak out and want the good of the Igbo, God will bless you wherever you are. Nothing will happen to you. Ndụ gị ga-adị ka echi, maka na echi anaghị agwụ agwụ. Ndụ gị ga-awụ ndụ azụ, ndụ mmiri ataghị, azụ agaghị anwụ. You know, God will keep them all. Those speaking for our people, those fighting to see that the Igbo person where safe wherever they are. God will bless all of you. It's not easy to be Igbo. We are the envy of many, if you don't know. You are making yourself less than those people. Whereas you are even the pace setter. Until you begin to know who you are. Because you don't know who you are. You are not a partaker in the prosperity, in the dignity and the fame and the work of the Igbo person. You are not a partaker already. Because if you are a partaker, because each of peanut, you're not gonna be satisfied. Or you're the 1 year for because Nana had Tigerian no for the Ewe Bere Ugo Bere in case the Beyaga Hebe Kuga Quareria. So wherever you are, it's the Beyaga Hebe in ere 1 negi Imran and Kuga Quagamako in Nana had years or 4 gates or Beya weary. Asị atụcha for ajuogu ogu anyị jidere ụlọwo na ndị nna nna anyị ha ndị a ọnụ na-asị ike ha ndị gburu ndị nna nna anyị. So unu na-aga asa ha ike na-erekwa anyị abụmọnụ ahụ nna nna anyị ha bụrụ ọ ga-esokwa unu jiri aka unu kere ya. You know, that is it. So ị na-aga fọrọ ị na-eje fọrọ ihe ọbụla onye mere ụgwọ ọrụ ya na-eche ya o meghe ọnụ izu o mee n'ọnwa. So, as you see, Koterebu, Oga, Baya, Bakasia, ofuma. So, in a gay room, Negina can be Kama, like a nature of power. Power, Gakwa Juonji in the past, where they are presently, where they Giaga. All we homie Merenando Kage. One day we will all be ancestors. One day we will only be in memory. Akwani na Baiga Makwe bomb. One very good day. So imara aso so ni ikwe ịmakwana ha aso na aso na ala mana ụgwọ ọrụ dịrị onye ọbụla ihe onye metere ya bụrụ so ụmụnne m ya dịrị anyị niile na mma, ndụ anyị ndụ azụ, ndụ anyị ndụ mmiri, mmiri atana ma azụ anwụna. Ọ ga-adịrị ụmụ Igbo na mma. Ise.
Thank you so much for that encouraging comment. Dear wonderful sister Ifeoma Nwadike. May God grant our people the wisdom to continue to figure out ways to survive, particularly living amidst the enemy. Always ask God for wisdom. We must always do that. I don't like when people try to act as if you can do anything without God. You know, some people say, oh, well, you know, yeah, leave God for now. Let's do this and that. Leave God and go. If you want to leave God, you can do so. Me, I won't. Yeah, you know, because when you leave God, you're finished. I'm telling you, yours is gone. God is the one who will deliver us from this, and he will deal seriously with our enemies. That's part of the reason we have told our people to keep the covenant, as is written in Deuteronomy 27 and 28. And eschew idol worship. Do not make anything your God, whether it's money or material thing or whatever, except God. Worship God. Because let me tell you the truth. If we do the right that is written in Deuteronomy 27 and 28, and we please him, you will see what he will do to our enemies. You know, you will see the power of God. He has delivered us in the past because they wanted to wipe us out, 1967 to 70. I personally call Ubuni with the hand of God. Because let me tell you, that thing continued to slaughter our enemies until we ran out of it. I think that's how the war ended, basically. Yeah, you know, but, you know, it is God that makes it work. And put it in all these people, everybody to act in unison at that time. We lost a lot of people and we remember them. You know, we have that fond memory of our own brothers and sisters that we lost. We will not forget them. There will be memorials set up eventually, you know, to remember all of them that paid the sacrifice, because our war was a just war. It's not good to fight wars, but when it is, there's nothing you can do any longer. What do? You still have to fight for yourself. But always consult your maker so that he can guide you on a path, the path of safety and security. Most importantly, that he guides our foot on a path of righteousness. We should have it. Okay, I will continue so that I can finish our segment on the Asaba massacre. It's very, very important to educate our listeners, our people. Now, here it talks about the Igbo-speaking people. This is Imo Kocha's book, which is very, very important. There are some important things, quotations from his book, his wonderful book, Blood on the Niger, which is a good account, a very good account of this tragic incident. Now, the quotes I brought out here, it says in page 270, it says, the Igbo-speaking people of the Niger Bend are walking on a tightrope. Geographically and legally, they belong to the South-South regional group. Historically and socially, their way of life expresses a lot of joy de vivre of the Western region. They cannot but view life like the Yorubas, of whom they have had a century of relationship and close interaction. They have started as regional subjects of the Yoruba-dominated Western government in Ibadan. However, they are Igbos. They speak the Igbo language, and their culture, political history, experience are Igbo. The other groups pointedly regard and treat them no differently. So this is, I'm reading this so you can understand that it's important for you not to deny your identity. Yes, we may suffer because of identity unjustly, but at the end of the day, remember you win. You know, in life there is, they have done that even for against most of our neighbors, our own people, who there's Igbo blood in almost everybody. Look at it from Efik to Obubra to, a lot of them are Igbos, actually. And they are either Igbos or closely related to Igbos. So, but they want to split us. That is the problem. Even to Benue State, you have the Doma people, even as far as Arago, the people in Nazarawa, Arago comes from Idoma. So that is how we are connected to the Arago people. And the Doma, they are the same people, we are the same people with them. Here, I want to read something. It says there are direct migrants even from Nri and Adonidu. These are Igbo people. There's Adonidu and Nri people. Migrations. Even in Western Nigeria, they are in Kogi. We have Ishigala, Ekberi, Igberi, and Megeri, or Oreri. These are all in Kogi State. Igala people. These are people, Igala Mela, and so on and so forth. There's in Benue, Idoma, Igbira, Igede, etc. There's Umuezoko clan. These are also in Benue State. They are our people. There's Ikoti Ichie, there's Boki, Yala, Efik relatives, Cross River, and Arago in Nazarawa. They are all our relatives, blood relatives. And I say it today, those of you who are abroad where you can do DNA tests, do with an Igbo person, or just send your DNA test, let them figure out where you come from and let you know. That way it makes what I'm saying easier for us to believe. And come out and speak on it. You can always come out on YouTube, have your results and show it what it is so that people can know. And do it properly. I know that hopefully Nigerians will not, our enemies will not capture that and begin to manipulate and use false things, because that's how they are, But there's a way, they can't do anything and it's just perfect. We will find out exactly what is true after all said and done. But we know, even from the accounts, even from traditional rulers of this land, where they come from. So most have traditional rulers titled Ochi, for example, which means an Igbo ruler. For the purposes of this broadcast, we shall name even some Anyama people in present Delta State who migrated from Nri in relatively newly created Anambra State. They gave us all sorts of names. So, like I mentioned, Ochi, you have Ochi Doma, and then you have Ochi in Arago as well. Ochi means the ruler, the person who rules, or the person who governs. I guess that's the best way to describe it. Yeah, and these are migrants like Abalono, Abala, and Abavo. There's Akupu Igbo, and Ogwashiuku, Osionwoko, Isiago, Oboli Seluku, Oboli Atuma, Oboli Ibuzo, Utopo, Owo Ibo, Owele Utehi, Ubuluku, Umueme Asaba, Mopansi La, and Omani in River States. These are direct migrants from Nri, from that's present Anambra State. And it's good, we're saying it so that the young ones can know, and your identity. And sometimes parents hide it because of Nigerian evil politics and tell you you're this, you're that, you're from all that. No, you're not from there. Answer your father's name now. It is time for us to answer our father's name and do the will of God so that we will not keep seeing ourselves in this position. The reason why I asked you to read Deuteronomy 27 and 28 is that God's covenant with the people of Israel, whom we are, is he told them that if you don't obey my commandments, he says your enemy will rule over you. That's one of the curses, he said. He listed curses. But he said, if you obey me, another comment, then that curse will reverse to you will rule over your enemy. You see that? So that covenant, they also said, is forever. It's everlasting. These are scriptural words. So we know where our problem is coming from. It is spiritual. It is not even Fulani or whatever. It is spiritual. That when we worship God in spirit and truth, when we do the right things we're supposed to do and quit trying to act evil, use evil, sometimes people will tricks. You become a trickster, you become manipulative, and to you it's wisdom. That type of thing is what God finds very objectionable, and it is not good at all. So what it does is that God begins to work against you. Yeah, but if you do the right thing, he'll work for you. That is the point. That is the point. So that if we stick to it, it'll be well with us and well with our descendants as time goes on. Now, there's another quote also from one Chipi I.G. Onyobi. This is also from Imo Kocha's book, Blood on the Niger, and I'll read it out. It says here, one sad product of the war is that it had disoriented us as a people. We crave for a separate identity as a minority group, yet the rest of Nigeria regards us as belonging to one of the three major ethnic groups in the country. It's better to say Igbo now, rather than put it this way. On our part, we are reluctant to accept and flaunt our Igbo-ness. Consequently, being neither here nor there, we have become victims of what I may call deputy mentality. For as long as we deny our Igbo-ness, so long shall we continue to remain and be treated as inconsequential minority in the Nigerian polity, with its attendant consequences. PIG Onyobi, Iyase Asaba, and the pointer of November 2, 1997. And this is Imo Kocha quoted that, and the man was very clear and very blunt. There's no reason why you're hiding your identity, because the problem is that when you begin to do that, that problem you think you are trying to avoid eventually will become bigger. That's what, the way it works. Just hiding your identity. So say I'm so and so, I'm from a place. Well, that way you begin to solve that problem, whatever problem it is, earlier. And I know people will hate other people for different reasons, from jealousy or whatever. Just they have their malicious towards them. Igbo identity is hated by Nigerians because those Nigerians, they love evil. That is why they hate Igbo. Anybody see that hates Igbo people for being Igbo, it's just because they love evil. Look at how they hated Igbo and pushed Igbo out of government in 1966. Since 1966, Igbo is out of Nigerian government. But look at what Nigeria has turned out to be. Poverty and terrorism capital of the world. So we encourage our brothers who are in the Midwest and who are everywhere they are to come out, be bold, speak up, and stand with your people. That way we can work in unison. Remember that most people who fought the Biafran War came from Anioma. Yeah, and I want to read some quotes here from Emeka Obase himself in Vanguard of News of October 13, 2018 and October 10, 2020, which is today. So he says here, calls Nwajeyi, first Commandant Supply and Transport of Nigerian Army, was the first GOC of the Biafra's 14th Division and fought in Ogo and Oguta creditably. Okwechime, first Commander, Nigerian Army of Engineers, was Adjutant General of Biafran Army. Okwechime, General Yakubu Gowon's classmate, was promoted Brigadier alongside Tony Eze and Obo Carlo after Owerri was recaptured. Colonel Ben Oche was Commander, 55th Brigade. Lieutenant Colonel Macaulay in Zafili, an Ndokwa man like Alabi Sama was in Biafra with his parents. Alabi Sama fought for Nigeria. He actually, though he's an Ndokwa man, he was his father died when he was age 4. And his mother took him to Paris. So he just grew up like a Yoruba man, I never saw himself. It's now that he's coming back to it, and very soon he's the head of the Izu Anioma in his own town. He says, okay, another person is Brigadier Conrad Nwawa, the 10th Nigerian Army officer, most senior Midwest officer, was GOC Commando Division before moving to 11th Division in the Nigerian Army. Hippolytus Asoya was Zoom Asoya was GOC S Division, Special Division of Nigerian Army, of Biafran Army, sorry. Achozia rose to become GOC 13th Division. Air Raid is one of the heroes of the Biafran struggle. Chief of Biafran Navy was Anikaman, Captain Wilfred Anuku, which means Anuku. He is from Abo, and who was at Dartmouth with Mike Adelanwa, the 3rd Nigerian CNC in Air Force. There was also Godi Amuchienwa, is in the Air Force, in Biafran Air Force. There's Gabe Ebube, Chris Obolu, and Mike Amanyewe, and Larry Obiechie. These are all people from our brothers from Anioma. They are not people, they are our brothers from Anioma who fought in the Biafran War. And today, again, Emeka Obasi had a publication when he says, if you talk of Biafra, give it to Ndi Igbo of Delta State. I will keep telling it to the world. The youngest GOC was Colonel Azum Asoya. It's Hippolytus Azum Asoya from Okpanam, the land of Chukwuma Zogu. Other notable GOCs were Brigadier Conrad Mwawo, Silvanus Mwajei, and Joe Achuze. The head of the Biafran Navy, Captain Wilfred Anuku, and Army Adjutant General Brigadier Ndoka Okwechibe. Head of Military Intelligence, Bernard Odogu and Ben Uche, a brigade commander, all hailed from Delta. In the Biafran Air Force, Alex Abafuna gave his life. These are people we have to remember. Larry Obiechi, Chris Lanky Obolo, and Gabe Ebube showed class in the sky. Even after the war, some Ibuzo boys refused to surrender. They remained in the bush fighting. That is the hometown of Captain Onwenwoy Owechwe and Lieutenant Anekam Okolichi. So then it mentions Professor Nolue Emenanjo in terms of his contribution in development of language, and these are people who served with the Biafran army. So we remember people in Asaba who lost their lives, in the Asaba massacre. Now we will give a little bit news on Nigeria before we close up for the day. And here it talks about Nigerian politicians fighting over collapsed structure. This is Peter Obi speaking in Vanguard News of Thursday, October 8, 2020. And that is day before yesterday. Peter Obi has said politicians breaking heads in their struggle to be in control of affairs in Nigeria will soon discover that what they are struggling over is an empty shell, as the entire structure the country is built upon is collapsing. An empty shell, as the entire structure of the country that the country is built upon is collapsing. The warning came from former governor of Anambra State, Toby Hughes, Wednesday, bemoaned the palace situation in the country, warning that the road the leadership was taking was fraught not only with danger, but will lead to a dead end, if not perdition. So you can see it's coming from everywhere. The information is coming from about the collapse of Nigeria. For instance, he bewailed the fact that the country's receding profile had placed it at an unenviable position of the world poverty capital. He noted that with 6 persons dropping into the poverty basket every minute, children dropping out of school, a lot of people going to bed hungry, and insecurity rising, Nigeria was now at the level where countries ravaged by war, like Iraq, Syria, and Afghanistan, were now doing better. So you can see if Iraq, Syria, and Afghanistan are doing better than Nigeria, what do you think? Nigerians, he says that this has put Nigerians into the lowest bracket of the most stressed and unhappy people on earth, where the gap in inequality between the rich and poor remained also among the highest in the world. Dwelling on bad governance and poor leadership as a major factor, he lamented that virtually all the countries that were at the same level with Nigeria had left the country behind, with the only exception being Sudan. Can you imagine? So Nigeria is now on the level of Sudan. He reviewed a number of countries in Asia, such as China, Indonesia, Vietnam, and Philippines, and those in Africa, such as Egypt, Ethiopia, Sudan, and Ghana, who were almost at the same level with Nigeria, and even those far behind in the last 2 decades. And he says further that there was definitely for those who will question, how did you come to this, how did you come to this surmisation, sorry if I might say that, It says here there was a global mechanism for measuring a country witnessing growth. The world has a standard for measuring development that is universally accepted. See, that's how he got his figures, you see? That's how he made that summary. He says, the standard is the human capital development. It is the standard through which development is measured. And in all, Nigeria is lower than the countries under comparison. That's why. So he's not just making a statement. There are things that show that Nigeria is actually where it is, from international standards of measuring prosperity and economic growth or decline. And Peter Obi has said something regarding this, but this is regarding Igbo people, which I want to attach to what I just read to you, where he says here, we are no longer talking about marginalization. We have lost everything in Nigeria. And people have lost everything. This is Peter Obi when he was Anambra State governor. In Igbo Day celebration of Okpara Square, on Monday of September 29, 2008. Masob was interrupting the program and, the assembly, chanting, "We want Biafra." But here he tells you that we have lost everything. This was published in Daily Independent News of Tuesday, September 30, 2008. Yeah, that is the following day after this event. Now, there's another comment which was made, which I take very seriously again. These are by people who are government officials, politicians who hold very important offices in Nigeria. And here is the deputy minority leader of the House, Prince Chukwuka Onyema, said that history has shown that the Southeast zone, comprising Abia, Anambra, Ebonyi, Enugu, and Imo State, are marginalized and shortchanged in the recruitment of employment by federal government ministries, agencies, and departments, including recruitment into law enforcement outfits, admission into educational institutions, appointments and promotions in federal government offices. This is Vanguard News of Tuesday, July 21, 2015. It shows you why I say our people are no longer in government. And who are the people perpetrating it? It's the Islamic North. The Islamic North are the ones who are perpetrating all this injustice against our people and the rest of the ethnic nationalities of Nigeria. And it's led by the Fulani people. So let us see here. This is not just that this is from Igbo people. Let me read from somebody who is also not an Igbo man. He says here, if we look at the way the Igbo are treated in this country, you will agree that it is very unfair. There are people in government that are removed and replaced with Hausa people. I wonder what those advising the president wants for this nation. You cannot beat a child and expect that child not to cry. From what I see, because APC gathered to win government, they didn't gather to know how to govern. The country is drifting economically and politically, and only God will save us. This is Roland Ovie, former chief whip of the Senate, 1979 to 1983, in Vanguard News of Tuesday, May 2nd, 2017. Roland Ovie also said in September of that same year, quote, is a quotation from Vanguard. Senator Ovie, in his part, said, it is, quote, it is regrettable that we blame IPOB, Arewa youths, or Niger Delta youths over threats capable of disintegrating the country. But the series of appointments made by this administration, even up till now, have shown that the administration is worse than those issuing ultimatum to the Igbo. We have observed a systematic plan to strangulate the South, particularly the Southeast, in appointments. And it seems that this administration is not bothered at all, which is sad. I want to appeal to President Buhari to know that this country belongs to all the ethnic groups. He should not create problems for the North, where he comes from, because no matter how he sees it, he would not have become president without the support of other ethnic groups. This is Vanguard News on Monday, September 4, 2017. This was being made by Ovie himself, former chief whip. And he's talking about the East. He shows you why we say the East is specially targeted. So the East is number one to suffer in the hands of Islamic jihadists led by Fulani in the north and the Kanuri in one from the northwest, the other one from the northeast, and to perpetrate oppression against our people. So now, remember that we read last week about how Nigeria may break up was from Boss Mustafa, who was Secretary to the federal government. And we read to you also about days of crude oil being numbered. This is the federal government speaking, and this is also coming from the Speaker of the House of Representatives, that oil will run out between 10 to 20 years coming. That it shows you that Nigeria's collapse is certain. That gas they think is not enough for you to sustain a country, like Nigeria. It's not possible. So what are they going to do? And then we talked about accusing the agency, the DSS, Department of State Services, run by Mr. Yusuf Bichi from Kanu, who hired 535 people. 535 Northerners and 93 Southerners in the organization. You can see the lopsidedness of this. So what, like I said, Tafawa Balewa and Ahmadu Bello was doing in 1960 is still being done today. And you cannot have a country like that. It is not, there's no fairness, there's no equity in it. That's why a lot of people know that Nigeria is already gone, period. It's all over. So, but the one that hurts so much is that they are killing and preparing and using the government, using the army, police, and all the rest to kill the Southerners. They are using them as a jihadist tool of Islamic jihad. And that's why we're crying out. We need help. We need the United Nations to pay attention. We need other countries to pay attention. But most importantly, we have to understand that we have to do it ourselves. These people cannot leave and come and help us unless there has been a terrible massacre there before they begin to talk or do anything. So we have seen them do that before during the Biafran War, But now I believe there is more communication is there. So they can't really not do anything without the world knowing. It's going to be very, very difficult for them to do so. Now, when I tell you these people are evil, they are evil. It's not name calling. We are not calling them names. They are evil. The Fulani is an evil ethnic group. Fulani, in particular in Nigeria, and those coming from Niger. That's why they will bring people, trained militants and mercenaries, and keep them in our backyards, in our forests, so that they rape our women, prevent people from farming, and then kill them in the process, getting ready to slaughter everybody else that lives there. These are not the type of people you want to live in the same country. Simple and short. And that's why we say they must be uprooted. That is all we have to say. They must be uprooted. If that they are uprooting, if we don't uproot them, they will uproot us. That's just the way it is. A choice has to be made. They're not coming there to live peacefully. They're coming there to take over your town, take you over, and rule over you because Islam said they have to do it. Very wicked people. They have no civility in them. They have no empathy for others in them. They have no proper manners. The people who live in the bush like animals, they refuse to ranch. You tell them to ranch. That's why you know that they're using that cow as a pretext to cause trouble. That's all they want. So they can cause trouble and then they say, oh, no, then they will attack you. That's all. That's why they're seizing every security agency in Nigeria so they can use them to attack the rest of Nigeria. And they're using them already anyways. They're in the army, they free Boko Haram people, and then go and tell you that they're proscribing Biafran organizations, IPOB or proscribing Maso or whoever. Can you imagine that? These are people who are innocent, simply exercising their rights, their right of speech, right of assembly and movement and religion, and it's a problem for Nigeria. But those who are the terrorists, remember that the Fulani is ranked at 4th in the international index of terrorist groups in the whole world. And yet, the president is a patron of Miyetti Allah, the organization of the Fulani killers, mass murderers, and terrorists. So what does that make the president? Makes him a chief terrorist, chairman of the terrorists. So we have to understand that. And when we understand it, we know what we're dealing with. Let nobody be, let nobody just, not be aware of what the situation is like. We must be aware. We must tell others. We must tell others to pay attention. We must tell them to be involved. We encourage you and we join you to be involved in what is going on. Please be involved. Do not see this as so simply noise making. No. If we're noise making, PRM will not be spending a lot of money to broadcast this. Yeah. We will not be spending our time and energy to just make noise. No, it is because we know our people have suffered. And from information we have given, you can see that we have some in-depth of historical knowledge on the crisis our people we have gone through as a people. And this is what we think about how to solve, think about how to solve it. And also you have to confront that problem, not to just shy away from it. We say that so that it might be good for us. On this note, I will call it a day, and I will thank my co-panelist, Chuks Ikerigwe, and I thank Ifeoma Nwadike. But most especially, we thank the technocrat who has been at the base of this, whom without this broadcast will not be possible at all. We thank Mazi Leo and Emena. He's an international technocrat, and without his knowledge, God-given knowledge, we would not have been able to achieve anything in this. And it's really amazing. We thank God for what he's done in his life, for the love of God and for his people. May God bless him, and may God bless you, the listeners, my fellow Biafrans, wherever you are, all over the world. And may the future be better for us. In the name of Yeshua HaMashiach.
Closing. Sorry.
Oh, okay. I have Chuks here. Chuks, please give us your closing remarks, please.
Okay. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead, Chuks.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. I use this opportunity to thank everybody that have listened to us, especially as we mark the 53rd anniversary of the massacre of our people in Asaba. It's not about just mourning their death that's the most important thing. The most important thing is what lessons have we learned from it. And if there's anything we must take away from it, it must be the fact that no matter what you do for Nigeria, Nigeria will always murder you. Whether you support them, they will murder you. Whether you don't, they will murder you. So it's better you do not support them, because the worst crime somebody can commit against himself is to give the enemy the permission to kill. Because that's exactly what the Asaba people did. It was more like giving the enemy the permission by going to them with when you were going to them for peace, they were coming to you to murder you, and that's exactly what they did. We must never allow our enemy, must never give them access to murder us, so no matter what happens. We must make sure that we secure our lives. Security of our life must be very, very important to us. The Nigerian government cannot do it for us. They didn't do it in the 1960s. They will never do it now. Murder the Igbo man, how to murder the Easterners. Collectively, we must save ourselves. And the best way to save ourselves is to learn that if all ships are down, we must fight back. It's very important. As in, not fight back, but at least self-defense. We must imbibe that spirit of self-defense, because Nigeria is a place that if you are peaceful, they will murder you for no reason. But when you come with arm, they will bring you to a negotiating table. Our people must learn to stop turning the other chicks ever. That each time we turn it, they murder us in hundreds. We must then stand at our feet, defend our women and children. We must never give them this opportunity of killing us. The killing is too much. We'll be so much murdered. And then we must also understand that no matter what we do, Nigeria cannot stay, because the barbarism is too much. The most important is at the end of the day, we'll never remember, we'll not only remember the abracadabra of the Fulanis in killing us, but we'll never forget those that kept silent while these murders we are taking on. For those people, a day of reckoning is coming. So I say good night and goodbye. Thank you for listening. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mazi Chuks Ikerigwe. Thank you so much. So on that note, on that closing remark, I'll say thank you to our listeners, and until we broadcast again next week. Thank you, and God bless you, and goodbye for now.
Radio Biafra International, empowering the people.
Radio Biafra is proud to launch its new mobile app. This app makes it easier for listeners to access live and repeat broadcasts at any given time. The app is available on Android and Apple stores and is free to install, so just search for Radio Biafra into all one word to get the app on your device.
Radio Biafra International broadcasts are always anchored on well-researched information and not based on personalities, frivolities, and foul languages. The main objective of Radio Biafra International is to empower Biafrans and give them knowledge through professionally delivered information, education, and enlightenment towards the ultimate goal of restoration of the nation of Biafra.
So don't forget, Radio Biafra into all one word.
And join us during our podcasts, and you'll be glad you did.
Truer words were never spoken. The less you associate with some people, the more your life will improve. Anytime you tolerate mediocrity in others, it increases your mediocrity. An important attribute in successful people is their impatience with negative thinking and negative acting people. As you grow, your associates will change. Some of your friends will not want you to go on. They will want you to stay where they are. Friends that don't help you climb will want you to crawl. Your friends will stretch your vision or choke your dream. Those that don't increase you will eventually decrease you. Consider this. Never receive counsel from unproductive people. Never discuss your problems with someone incapable of contributing to the solution, because those who never succeed themselves are always first to tell you how. Not everyone has a right to speak into your life. You are certain to get the worst of the bargain when you exchange ideas with the wrong person. Don't follow anyone who's not going anywhere. With some people, you spend an evening. With others, you invest it. Be careful where you stop to inquire for directions along the road of life. Wise is the person who fortifies his life with the right friendships. If you run with wolves, you will learn how to howl. But if you associate with eagles, you will learn how to soar to great heights. A mirror reflects a man's face, but what he is really like is shown by the kind of friends he chooses. The simple but true fact of life is that you become like those with whom you closely associate, for the good and the bad. Note, be not mistaken. This is applicable to family as well as friends. Yes, do love, appreciate, and be thankful for your family, for they will always be your family, no matter what. Just know that they are human first, and though they are family to you, they may be a friend to someone else and will fit somewhere in the criteria above. In prosperity, our friends know us. In adversity, we know our friends. Never make someone a priority when you are only an option for them. If you are going to achieve excellence in big things, you develop the habit in little matters. Excellence is not an exception. It is a prevailing attitude.